Here's Sky News Today with Wilfred Frost. It's 10 o'clock. Your headlines. New plans for hundreds of licences for oil and gas drilling in the North Sea as 2 carbon capture projects are also given the go-ahead. A British pensioner who killed his terminally ill wife is released from custody in Cyprus after being sentenced to 2 years in jail for manslaughter. The Metropolitan Police commander who wrote the force's drug testing strategy faces a misconduct hearing for allegedly taking drugs while off duty. Rail passengers face widespread disruption once again due to the latest industrial action by train drivers. And an evacuation order is issued in the Canadian province of British Columbia after an out-of-control wildfire crosses over the border from the United States. A very good morning to you. The Prime Minister has announced an expansion of oil and gas drilling in the North Sea. Rishi Sunak is in Aberdeenshire this morning, where he'll also announce 2 carbon capture and storage projects. It comes amid ongoing rows in the Conservative Party about the government's climate commitments.
Look, well, I make no apologies for the Conservative Party being the only party that's not either in hock to Just Stop Oil or has a presumption against new licences, as the Labour Party and the Scottish National Party are. We're committed to the future of the North Sea. We're committed to transition, absolutely, to new technologies, to renewables, but we're also committed to securing hundreds of thousands of Scottish and indeed wider British jobs in the process. That's why we are announcing what we are today in terms of new licences. It's about security. It's about moving towards net zero in a managed way through a transition. And it's about meeting our net zero ambitions. That is exactly what we're doing today.
Well, the commitment from Rishi Sunak to continue granting oil and gas licences in the North Sea has been welcomed by senior members of his party, who believe if exploration in the UK didn't continue, oil and gas would instead be imported to ensure energy security.
Getting these things down is important in the shorter term, whilst we try and get towards those net zero targets, but do it in a rational way. I think the Prime Minister's right to do this here. And by the way, I think the Scottish Government and Labour are sloping their shoulders. They know full well that if we were to stop all drilling tomorrow, we would have to massively increase the amount that we buy in from other countries. So it is a hypocrisy to pretend somehow you're greener by buying from other countries. You're not.
Correspondent Rob Powell is in Aberdeen and joins me now. Rob, just clarify for us what exactly is being announced today and how that compares to what we expected, what had been telegraphed previously by the government.
Yeah, 2 main announcements today, Wilf. The first connected to a visit that the Prime Minister is making this morning, about 30 miles up the Scottish coast from where I'm talking to you now, all around carbon capture, 2 sites, one in North Scotland in Aberdeenshire, one in Humberside, that will get approval to develop carbon capture projects, essentially taking emissions at the point they're produced and storing them underground. That's controversial in itself. Some people are accusing it as essentially a fig leaf for polluting. I think the more eye-catching and bigger announcement, though, that we got at just after 7 a.m. this morning was that the government is set to approve hundreds of new drilling licences for North Sea oil and gas that will start to be given consent from autumn. Now, the argument, as you heard being put forward by the Minister there, is essentially that at a time when energy security and energy supplies have been disrupted, it makes no sense to get more oil and gas from abroad, that it should be essentially produced within the UK, and that actually is a better way to do it in terms of emissions than bringing it from abroad. The difficulty with that argument, though, is that just because oil and gas comes out of the North Sea and from the UK doesn't necessarily mean it's directly used within the UK. The licence holders can be multinational companies, and this is traded on international markets. So there's still quite a high degree of exposure to international price fluctuations on the international markets. What those that are pushing for a different approach say is that if the government really wanted to bring bills down, they'd invest in renewables and they would address energy consumption, home insulation, and try and make sure people overall use less energy, rather than putting new licenses in place that may not even actually produce oil and gas for several decades into the future.
I mean, of course, it does provide a hedge regardless, even if it's the oil transfers abroad. If the economy is exporting as well as importing, you're not as exposed to what the international price is. Rob, just talk us through the politics of this and how both the SNP, of course, which is hugely relevant in this debate, given where you are, and Labour, what are their positions versus the Conservative position?
Yeah, the politics of this is hugely important and is arguably the key driver of what we're hearing from the government today. I think if I focus on the SNP first, the SNP are working with the Green Party in Holyrood, and I think there is a degree of concern about some of the more sceptical tones that they have taken towards North Sea oil and gas, especially in places like Aberdeen, where it supports hundreds of thousands of jobs. I think there's a degree of scepticism about how the phasing out and turning away from North Sea oil and gas can really work with the industry. Have a listen to Stephen Flynn, the SNP's Westminster leader, this morning, who was pretty equivocal when he was asked about whether the SNP back the expansion of these new licences.
If it can be determined that these oil fields are a necessity in order to meet energy security demands, in order to ensure that we can still meet our climate objectives, then of course I think you would seek to advance with some of them. However, on the flip side, if you can't ensure that this can be done in a way which is compatible to climate change, or in fact in a way which delivers energy security, then you shouldn't be doing that.
So I think part of this is about trying to squeeze the SNP vote by putting pressure on them over how their plans for North Sea oil and gas fits with jobs in a part of Scotland where the Tories will be defending seats at the next general election. In terms of how this works for Labour, I think the political aim is to try and seize on Labour's pledge to give no new licences for North Sea oil exploration and try to paint that as an indication of risking blackouts and threatening energy security at a time when supplies are disrupted and prices are high. What Labour say is that it's absurd for the government to be talking about energy security after 13 years in government, they say, which has left the country exposed. Labour's position, though, remains that they wouldn't grant any new licences. However, what they do say is that they would stand by and honour licences granted before the next general election, because they say that's giving industry the certainty they need. But ultimately, this is about trying to find a position that can separate the government's position from Labour's and opening up a front to attack Sir Keir Starmer on. It's now happening on oil and gas. It happened over the weekend on low traffic neighbourhoods and so-called anti-car schemes. It happened last week on housing and building on the Greenbelt.
Rob, just quickly on that, if the Conservatives really wanted to open up the biggest gap possible on this particular issue, surely they should only announce some of the licences now and say that they'll announce the rest after an election, because Labour's policy is quite clever in that regard to say, if it's already been green-lit, this licence and the projects are beginning, we're not going to reverse that. Give it another year or so until the election. This issue won't be as divisive between the two main parties.
Well, it may well be that that's what the government is doing, that they've promised that hundreds of licences ultimately they will be granted, but those will only start coming through from this autumn. I think the plan really is, and we've seen Grant Shapps, the Energy Security Secretary, trying to do this on Twitter this morning. It's almost to try and tie Labour's position to the Just Stop Oil campaigning position. Grant Shapps even accusing Labour of being the political wing of Just Stop Oil this morning. So there's a lot of politics driving this, and I think the big question for Labour is that will they stick to this pledge, or will we see an adjustment on it, as we saw on a much smaller level over the emission zone pledge that lost them the by-election in Uxbridge, and will we see a sort of adjustment as we saw with the plan to spend billions of pounds on green technology as well? And then I think the broader question to all of this is, for as much as the Conservatives are focusing on these so-called single-issue wedge topics, is there enough electoral resonance realistically in this to really shift the dial in the Conservatives' direction? Because for as much as we talk about soul-searching over green policy after the Uxbridge by-election, actually arguably the other two by-election results that happened on that day in Yorkshire and Somerset are more important and showed thumping defeats for the Conservatives, to the Lib Dems in the southwest and to Labour in Yorkshire. So as much as Rishi Sunak, I think, is responding to backbench anger to be more punchy towards Labour, it's really an open question about whether fighting on these wedge issues packs enough of a punch to actually make any tangible gains for the party come the next general election, when compared to those big motivating issues that are likely to decide the next vote, things like NHS and cost of living.
Rob Powell, great stuff. Thanks so much. Live from Aberdeen for us, and we are expecting some comments from the Prime Minister on this issue during the course of the morning or early afternoon. Let's just remind you, by the way, critical, of course, to this story is the UK's energy picture at the moment and where it comes from. The right half of the screen, very clearly, they're showing how power is currently being generated and at the moment, as you can see, a lot from renewables. That number fluctuates massively depending on how the wind blows and how strong the sun is. In fact, if you looked at 2022 as a whole, the numbers would not have been to that extent. In fact, the vast majority would still have been from fossil fuels. On the top left, you can see how much warmer the Earth is now than in 1880. That's when modern record keeping began. And finally, bottom left, the total amount of CO2 emissions in millions of tonnes. David Hunter, the British pensioner who killed his terminally ill wife in Cyprus, has been released from custody. The 76-year-old had already spent 19 months in custody, so has already served the majority of a 2-year sentence that he had been given earlier today. The former coal miner from Northumberland had admitted killing his wife Janice but denied murder. I'm joined by our Europe correspondent Adam Parsons. Adam, just clarify for us why he's been released there. I mean, clearly, I mentioned it a little bit, but why he's being released as we speak, and a bit of the background of this story.
Well, he's been released because he was given a 2-year sentence for manslaughter. And the rule of thumb in Cyprus is that you do 10 months in custody for every year that you're given. So in other words, that would come out at about 20 months. Well, he's already served 19 in remand. And the judge effectively said, well, he's shown good behaviour. I think the judge's remarks on this are really very, very interesting as well. We've just got these. Remember, the background to David Hunter and his wife, Janice, left for Cyprus about 20 years ago after his retirement, lived very happily. Then she suffered from blood cancer. And what is agreed by all sides is that he did kill her and that he says that he asphyxiated her because her suffering was so intense that she had begged him to end her life. Now, the prosecution has said that they didn't see any evidence of this, but the judge he said this is a crime that goes against human life, taking it as a crime. But he also said this is not a case acting out of animosity or differences. Before us is a unique case of taking human life on the basis of feelings of love with the aim of relieving the person of their suffering. This was a complicated case because the court in Paphos heard that they'd never had a case put in front of a Cypriot court such as this before. They looked at precedents in, for instance, New Zealand and indeed the United Kingdom in trying to come up with a verdict. So David Hunter was convicted of manslaughter, not of murder, which the prosecution had suggested, and has now been released. Also, we've had a reaction from his lawyer, who, speaking on behalf of Mr. Hunter, thanked the Cypriots for coming up with this decision, said he was enormously relieved. We've also had a reaction from Leslie Cawthorne. Now, Leslie Cawthorne is the daughter of David and Janice Hunter, said, "I'm elated and relieved that my darling dad has been released. Past 90 months have been a living nightmare." She said, "For our family, today is the start of us being able to rebuild our lives." David Hunter is a former miner who was very, very popular in the community that he left behind in order to start this new life with his wife. He did try to end his own life after killing his wife. He took an overdose, but when medics arrived at the family home, they actually revived him, starting this process, which ends today. The question, of course, will be what happens to Mr. Hunter next. What is his decision about how to take on the next stage of his life? But I think for the moment he is simply elated, as his daughter said, that this has come to an end. And reflecting his daughter and him on what he refers to as the kindness of strangers. A huge outpouring of support has been extended to Mr. Hunter from people in the UK, in Cyprus, and indeed, so they say, from around the world.
Adam, thank you. Rail passengers face further disruption this morning, with train drivers beginning an overtime ban as part of a long-running dispute over pay. Well, Sky's Matthew Thompson joins us now from London Euston Station. And Matthew, just gauge for us the scale of disruption that this is likely to create, and indeed probably already is creating. It's an overtime aspect as opposed to a full walkout.
Exactly, and I think that will have an effect on just how much disruption there is. Don't get me wrong, the disruption will be significant, but it won't be on the scale that we've seen in recent weeks, for example, when there are full-scale strikes happening. I'm at Euston Station. I just had a quick look at the departure boards, and there were 4 cancelled trains within the next hour and a half or so. So clearly that's disruptive to many people, but it's not a complete shutting down of the railway network, if you like. And the reason that overtime bans have this effect is because the way train timetables are structured as they are, there aren't really sufficient drivers working normal hours to satisfy the normal operation of train timetables. They're usually asked to work overtime. So when they don't work overtime, clearly there is some fallout and disruption. It's across 15 different train companies in England. It'll also affect some cross-border services into Wales and Scotland as well through the day, but it's difficult to be sure exactly what the disruption will be because it kind of depends which area of the country that you're in, but it's obviously advisable that you check before you travel. As to what it's about, well, it's the same long-running dispute. The drivers, ASLEF union, not striking, but doing the overtime ban today, they want more money. They rejected an offer of 8% over 2 years back in April. They called it risible. We spoke to the General Secretary of ASLEF, Mick Whelan, earlier today, and he said as far as he was concerned, all public sector workers should get a pay rise.
Every worker deserves a pay rise, and I would argue that many of those in public services should be on double the salaries they are now, just have a living wage, because work in the UK doesn't pay anymore. This Conservative government, over its 12 years of austerity, with its high inflation, high energy prices, high food prices, have actually made it impossible for ordinary people to buy a home, right? In many cases, to afford to use transport, because we have transport poverty in the UK as well. And I think if we're going to look at the problems that we have in salaries and what people are earning, don't look at worker against worker. Look at those that have caused economic instability in the UK.
Now, what the government says is that offer of 8% over 2 years is fair and reasonable, and it's urged the unions to put it to their members. So, as we stand, the two sides really seem as far apart as they ever have done, which makes it difficult to see any kind of imminent resolution to this long-running dispute.
Matthew Thompson, thank you very much. Now, England will have one last try later today as the Ashes series comes to a close to try and win this final test. Let's bring in Jackie Beltrow to give us a preview, Jackie. And clearly, the Ashes cannot be won or retained by England anymore, given the series as a whole, but it would make a nice end to the series, a relatively nice end to the series, to at least win this test and end the series with a 2-2 draw.
Oh my goodness, Wilf, absolutely. It would be an incredible end to this series if they could level it at 2-2, because, you know, they don't want Australia going off making their own history here, walking away with a 3-1 series win, the first one on British soil since 2001. England don't want that. I mean, actually, Australia only need a draw to walk away with a series win. So if they could level it, it would seem like some kind of fairness in the whole process, because England have played really exciting cricket. They've played their baseball. It's not come without risks, but they've taken those risks, and it is made for a really, really exciting edge of your seat set of test matches. At the moment, though, you have to say Australia in the ascendancy. They've got 135 on the board. They haven't lost any of their wickets. Just need 249 more runs to win the test outright and the series outright and go home with that bit of history. So much to play for them. And they look like they've got the bit between their teeth. They've got the whole day to get those runs, weather permitting. And this wicket isn't doing anything. You know, it's not doing anything for the bowlers. It's been very frustrating for them. And it's been a very good track for batting on as well. So, yeah, you have to say it is slightly favouring Australia at the minute. But it's slightly different weather today from yesterday, a little bit warmer. Maybe that's going to make a difference. Maybe the bowlers can get something from it. But we'll see very shortly. It's live on Sky Sports, of course. You can check in and see what's happening there. But a lot for England to do today in a day to get all 10 Aussie wickets. It's a big ask, but it's not impossible.
And Jackie, I mean, obviously it puts the focus for England fans on the bowlers, and one bowler in particular.
Stuart Broad, I don't think anyone saw that coming, that he was going to announce his retirement from professional cricket a couple of nights ago. He was given a standing ovation yesterday here at the Oval. When he walked out, he was also given a special guard of honour by the players. A very, very respected cricketer around the world, not just here, and a legend here for English cricket. 602 wickets in total, second only to his great mate Jimmy Anderson, and that total probably will never be matched by any other bowler. He also has this knack of using the crowd and really feeding off their energy and getting them sort of riled up and getting them behind the team. And he is just the ultimate competitor. When England's backs are against the wall and on the ropes, he's the one that will step out and come up knees pumping and bowling his best bowling in that situation. Can he do it today? Can he get another 5-wicket haul? That would be the ideal way to bow out, wouldn't it? I mean, his last ball that he faced in Test cricket, he hit for 6, which was just perfect. Now, if he could translate that into his bowling today, England could really do with it for a start, but he would love to go out on a high, and it would be a really fitting send-off. Also, his nemesis David Warner is still at the crease and looking pretty good, and no one's got David Warner out as much as he has, and he would love to sign off with his wicket again today. So let's see, Australia 135 without loss. Usman Khawaja and David Warner at the crease. They are looking very good. It is looking like a very good batting track. England with a lot of work to do, but for Stuart Broad, I should imagine an extremely emotional day as he says goodbye to the Ashes. He says goodbye to his professional cricket career, and says goodbye to a lot of friends in that dressing room and a lot more friends around the stands.
Well, Jackie, thanks so much for that, and I'm sure you've got a ticket already, but if you don't, a ticket tout just went behind you offering tickets available, so enjoy the day.
There's a lot of them.
Jackie, thanks so much. Jackie Baltrow there outside the Oval. Good luck, Stuart Broad and the team today. Now, we've got some breaking news. It relates to the suicide bombing that took place yesterday in northwest Pakistan, and the death toll is rising, sadly, from the low 40s yesterday to 54 now, as various families are holding funerals today. That's coming from police in Pakistan. The death toll rising to 54. Now, a group of West African leaders has issued an ultimatum to Niger's new military leaders amid continuing protests in the capital, Niamey. NBC correspondent Courtney Koob has the latest for us from the city.
Thousands of people took to the streets in Niger's capital, Niamey, today. We were out and saw some of these protesters. They were blocking traffic, they were congesting the streets, but for the most part, what we saw was peaceful until it wasn't. A group of these protesters moved to the French embassy, where they attacked the perimeter of the French embassy, setting one of the doors on fire, throwing rocks, breaking windows, until security forces showed up and were able to move them away. Now, the protesters never breached the perimeter and actually entered into the French embassy. But most of these protesters appear to be in favor of those military leaders behind this week's coup. President Mohamed Bazoum, the democratically elected president here in Niger, was taken into custody, being held in his own residence by members of his own security services. In neighboring Nigeria, in Abuja, an emergency summit held by some of the neighbors here in West Africa to discuss the security situation here. At the end of the summit, those leaders came out and they just announced they were cutting ties with Niger, closing their borders to this country, and critically calling on the military coup leaders to release President Bazoum, even saying that if he's not released in the next week, they could take additional actions that could even involve some sort of military action here.
NBC's Courtney Koob there. You're watching Sky News today with Wilfred Frost coming up. Ukraine's president has warned war's coming back to Russia after a drone attack on the capital in Moscow. We will discuss with Sean Bell. That's next.
Mandatory evacuation, you must leave!
For many people,
Harvey is far from over. Christchurch has been changed forever by what happened here.
There was a river of blood coming out of the mosque. That's a scene that you don't forget.
Ida has certainly left its mark on New Orleans.
It just feels heartbreaking.
We help you understand the world with us. We are standing on the supply line right into the heart of America's opioid crisis. I've reported from around the world and around the UK. Are you trying to run me over, Sir Philip?
No, go away.
Look like it, sir. Will you respond to those who've made accusations, Sir Philip?
Can you go away?
Joe Biden knows the celebrations are over, and this is a country in crisis.
You don't want to be remembered this way. You always want to be remembered as something positive.
It is almost impossible to predict where these fires will go next. This gives you an idea of the strength of those winds, strong enough to bend and twist metal.
Do you regret the tweet, Gary?
There's no sign, publicly at least, of either side being willing to give ground. How do you reassure the public that all of these mistakes wouldn't be made again? I'm Greg Milam, and I'm Sky's Chief North of England correspondent.
Welcome back. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has warned war is coming back to Russia after a drone attack on the capital in Moscow. Well, Mr. Zelensky said attacks on Russian territory were an inevitable part of the process of the war between the two countries. Let's bring in retired Air Vice Marshal Sean Bell, who's with me here on set. So, Sean, talk to us about what the latest is on the ground in general for the war, but including that sort of counterattack via drones to Moscow.
Yeah, good morning, Wilf. It's worth pointing out there is toing and froing either way at the moment. If we look at the damage on Ukraine soil, Kharkiv, there was an attack last night. One person died in that attack. Kryvyi Rih, which is President Zelensky's hometown, a massive strike there, 2 dead. We thought there were 10 injured. It's now gone up to 20, and apparently there's at least 7 hidden away in the rubble there. A civilian residential building's been hit. But of course, the news that seems to dominate is President Zelensky saying that Moscow is now, vulnerable to attack. The drone attack on Moscow. There's been a bit more footage about the actual drone itself, footage from Moscow. Now, in fact, tactically, these attacks on Moscow are relatively insignificant. They don't do much damage, but strategically, they are vitally important because for Muscovites, miles away from particularly the Russian elite, it shows that they are involved in a war. The economy in Russia is on the way down. Undoubtedly, conscription, if you remember, Putin is opening out the window. Likewise, the number of Yevgeny Prigozhin did his march. All of these things make Muscovites feel more vulnerable and instability, which puts pressure on President Putin. And of course, for those providing his power base, they look to the future and they say, well, President Putin is starting to become a liability. He's also indicted by the International Criminal Court. So if there was an alternative way, an alternative future, it just makes Putin's position become increasingly unstable.
So on the topic of Putin, with this Africa summit that's been going on, he said he would take seriously the peace talks that are being proposed and discussed. I mean, do we believe that? What's the significance of this African summit?
I think, as the tone of the question, we don't believe it, but it's also interesting that China's put some proposals on the table, and likewise Russia's saying it's seriously considering those as well. Now, Russia's got increasingly few allies in the world, so it needs to appease them, and also by talking as if it's serious about Russia being prepared to negotiate, it appears to put pressure on Zelensky, who's not prepared to negotiate, therefore it's somehow President Zelensky comes the bad guys. But talks, really credible talks, only happen when one side wins or the other. Neither side looks close to doing that at the moment, or they grind to a stalemate. And at the moment, President Zelensky's forces are on the front foot. So it looks highly unlikely we're at that stage yet. But it is worth pointing out, so behind the rhetoric of this banter that's going on at the moment, the harsh reality is neither side are going to be negotiating anytime soon. Let's
just stick on this topic quickly, because the comments we talked about first of Zelensky being kind of provocative and the drone attacks in Moscow, Is that something, do you think, the West would support? And do you think it makes talks more likely? Or, as you're saying at the moment, we're just not at that stage yet?
There's an interesting line that President Zelensky is having to take at the moment, because he's not allowed to use Western weapons to attack on Russian soil, and they're the most capable weapons that could allow him to really do some damage. And that is all driven by the West's slight paranoia that it'll escalate the conflict. But the harsh reality is, I think privately, most of the West would see that Zelensky is having to fight this with his hands tied behind his back. Russia can attack Ukrainian soil, but Ukraine can't do the same return. And he'd be really keen to demonstrate. And if we have time later, we'll talk about Second World War. We'll talk about the Doolittle raids, did exactly the same to Japan in the Second World War. No material damage, but it reminded people at home that they were involved in a war. Very powerful in terms of undermining Putin's position with his populace, and particularly with the Russian elites.
Really very interesting as always, Sean. Thank you. Time for a quick look at the weather now.
Warm memories wherever you go. The weather, sponsored by Cat.
SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Pram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Pram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com, or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Check me out. He tells me my energy is making him tired.
Yes!
How do you get the energy to do
I've been told that I have a lot of energy, but my goodness, I think today I have met my match, people. I have met my match, Miss Suzanne. Wow, amazing.
One of the things that's the start of the darkness. Of darkness.
So what did that?
Myself and the world in adjustment. And 2019.
Forget the proverbial boardroom. Join me, Simone Frazier, on the CEO, the program that gives you the driving seat over your life. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. only on Starr Radio.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour Show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour Show is your best source into the property industry.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Broadcasting live online. Turn it on. Turn it up.
body is your mouth. Bekutu, show them you got the cocoa set. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Harry Song, aka Mr. Songs. This is the Kingmaker Baba for the girls. We're here. This is Star Radio. Don't go nowhere. UK, London. We they call them London for home. For here, we they call them London. And that's how you know. Just have fun and stay blessed.
Online, on mobile, and soon on DAB. This is Starr Radio UK, the leading Afro-Caribbean radio station in London.
The best radio show. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
All around the world. In your car,
At work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Are you ready to turn it up?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, your heart is aching. Smile even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. Hey, this is Archie and you are listening to Star Radio UK and The Morning Show. And The Morning Show.
This is Starr Radio UK. Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK.
Welcome. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Enlighten your day with Starr Radio. Starr Radio. Radio for the people, by the people.
Love for you runs deep. All of you makes my heart beat. You make the doubt they fade, Jesus, and that's what makes you great. You hold the world in your hands, the hand that made me who I am. Same God now, yesterday, and forevermore.
This is Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK.
You are God. You will never change. You remain the same to the end. To the end. You are God. One who took my pain, took away my shame. Lord, you reign. That's why forever.
exactly what I want to do for you this morning. Make the dark day fade. And let me say massive good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you wherever you might be on planet Earth and those of you on other planets as well. We want to salute each and every one of you and welcome you to the Monday edition of the morning show. Today is Monday, the 31st day of July, the year 2023, with a time now 10:45 from the hearts of London. And of course, it is the Monday edition of the morning show. I am your one and only.
This is the morning show with Archie.
But let me say good morning to my team this morning, Mr. Olayomi, Koiki, HR Linda Pali, and my able producer, Mr. Francis Guy. And then to every one of the presenters of Starr Radio UK. My special greetings also goes to the one and only Bishop Adeshina. He says, good morning to you, Starr Radio UK. What a wonderful day today, Monday, the 31st of July. Regards and regards to you, man of God. Let me say good morning to every one of you, your team, your colleagues at the RBS office in Lagos, Nigeria. Massive good morning to you. And then let me say morning to Aziz. Good morning. Antonio Dedeji, good morning. Olakunle, good morning to you. Moiwa and Sir Maxwell. My colleague, my brother, and all the way in Aberdeen. Yes. Felix, massive good morning to you. Kojodi, good morning. And all you wonderful people who are on holidays. Yes, Mr. Dan Taberisi of GL Accountancy Services. I know that you are all on holidays, but I know that you are all listening in to us. I say massive good morning to you and welcome to the show.
The hand that made me who I am.
Okay, 10:47 the time. I know we are pressed with time, but if it is the first time of tuning in on the Monday morning of the edition of the morning show, this is how the program goes. I'm going to bring you the quotes for the day, the weather forecast will follow you, then the travel updates. We'll move on to look at some of the stories making the rounds across the globe. It's known as global trotting. Then after that, we continue to look at updates from Nigeria with Mr. Olayomi Koiki. He will try to bring you that from his busy schedule. You know that the kids are on holidays, and therefore, all the holidays as I did say, but you do your best to bring you that. Then after that, we'll continue to have a look at some of the stories making the rounds across the globe. Exactly at 12 o'clock, the lines are open for you to add your voice to the discussions. 12:30. We bring the curtains down and then we take you to Cyprus, where our own HR Linda Palian is to bring you Career 101. So in Nigeria, that's what's going to happen today. But do me a massive favor, a massive one, please. Share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones and invite them to like our pages as well. Okay, let's crack on. There is a lesson to be learned, not just to informal education, no matter the age or where you are, but also in everything you do. Everything you do is a lesson to be learned. Probably brace yourself for that. I'm saying good morning to Mrs. Evelyn Chabri, yeah, and the girls.
Till the end, you are one who took.
So when it comes to the weather front, this is what the weather has got in stock for us. For those of you in London and the southeast of England, you want to share with us what is happening in your area, feel free to do so. Now this afternoon will be mostly cloudy with a few light showers edging in from the southwest. Now later in the day, showers will tend to clear and sunshine will widely develop. A breezy day expected as well. Now tonight will be largely dry with lengthy clear spells, although there will still be some areas of cloud around. These most extensive during the early hours. So the temperature is going to be 21 degrees, the is going to be 14 degrees. Falling level low, UV level moderate, pollution low as well. Sunset 20:51, sunrise for tomorrow morning 05:22 hours. And that brings us to the end of the weather forecast for you. And so now we move on straight to the travel update. And this is what the travel looks like this morning.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Okay, so keep your eyes on the roads. Keep your eyes on the roads as we keep you navigated. The Starr Radio travel update that comes to every weekday from 10:40. So on your travels this morning, on the major roads in London, there are no exceptional delays. When it comes to the London Overground, London Overground has got part closures. On the underground, we've got part closures and severe delays and minor delays on the Bakerloo line. So please check before you leave. That aside, all the others are running a very, very good service there. Now the river bus is having a good service apart from the Woolwich ferry that's got planned projects. That aside, all the others, as I did say, good service there. London Cable Car, good service. And that brings us straight to the final segment of the travel update. That is the National Rail. So on the National Rail this morning, cross country, First Trans-Pennine Express, Great Northern, Great Western Railway, Greater Anglia, Northern Rail, Scotch Rail, Southeastern, and Southern have all got minor delays. Grand Central has got special service. That aside, all the others, no exceptional delays. And that is where I say it once again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you, wherever you might be on planet Earth. Enjoy your commute for today. But you know what? Continue to keep those eyes on the roads.
Tune in to On Point here on Star Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Okay, welcome back to the program Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. 10:51 the time, and we have to go straight to or on the global trotting and tell you what exactly is happening from wherever you might find yourself or wherever you are. And some of the stories making the rounds in Nigeria, where Yomi is going to be bringing you more of that. Now, President Tinubu to address Nigerians tonight. I'll be telling you more details about that. What is it all about? Yes, more going to be coming your way from that front. Now, Falana speaks on NLC's planned protest and strike action. Is it why he is trying to embark on an address that maybe will help people to say, oh, let's reason. The NLC insists on Wednesday strike mobilizes. Yes, it's going to take place. And Tinubu appoints FRCN boss to probe CBN and Mefele. Is it Tinubu who is supposed to be appointing that, or the Chief Justice of Nigeria who is supposed to be doing that? Should Tinubu do that? Well. And then some other stories now. West Africa threatens force French embassy attacked in Niger coup. Okay, and DSS obey court order, allows IPOB leader Kano access to personal physician. Well, why are they obeying some of the court orders and some other court orders? They decide that we don't want that, and therefore this is what we're going to do. Well, if they want to be all out saying that we are being obedient to the courts or the rule of law, then they should all come back again to tell us. Now, Tribunal fixes Tuesday for Tinubu, Atiko, Obi to adopt their final written address. It's going to be an interesting one. This is why Tinubu wants to go and address the nation before then, so that whatever happens, people will know that, well, he's doing something great for them. Curfew imposed in Nigeria to halt rampant food store looting. Well. That's some of the stories making the rounds there. Lots more going to be coming your way. Kano returns to DSS custody after checkup by personal doctors. Now, what did they say about that? 2 weeks in at home, non-negotiable. Simon Ekpa warns amidst potential invasion of Niger, NLC protest, Tinubu to address Nigerians tonight. Okay, a lot more going to be coming away from there. Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, Senegalese opponents vows hunger strike as lawyer Lambaste's arrest. Now, firebrand Senegalese opposition politician Ousmane Sonko said on Sunday he has started a hunger strike from custody after being arrested this week. Well. So let's see what happens there. And then ECOWAS issues ultimatum to Niger amid popular show of defiance. They should come again. The way we rule, when we've been given the opportunity to lead our nations, the selfishness, the sycophancy, and everything that goes on in there. And when some people decide, look, we can't take this nonsense any longer, excuse my word, this morning, and they decide, okay, the best way forward is that, which we, again, when it comes to even the military, we don't trust them because they are same old. But the question is, when the people are tired of what is happening, and then this happens, then we have the ECOWAS come to say, you know what, you cannot be doing that, you don't have to. But they sat there watching, listening when things were going wrong, and they didn't say, look, Jack, look at whatever you are doing and see to address it so that your people don't get upset with it. But well, that is what they have, that is what they've done, and those who are being alienated are now also forming their own group. So, yeah. All right, and Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Martin Amidou Sicila Dapa $1 million plus booty demonstrates serious security failure of government. The power to investigate and prosecute offences committed under the laws of Ghana is the prerogative of the executive branch vested in the President of the Republic. So if the President says, go investigate them, then that will be done. But if the President decide, you know what, let's just sweep it under the carpet, or give a slap on the back of the wrist, and then that's what's going to be. Well. What do you think about all that? Those are some of the things happening in Ghana as well. Well, some other information that I picked from Ghana pertaining to the central bank. But I'll be bringing you more on that front. Let me say good morning to Mr. K.D. Olsen, the PPP chairman here in the UK and Ireland. We'll be having a chat with him later during the course of the month, next month in August. Now, government must cut expenditure to save central bank's bankruptcy. It's what he is saying. So the central bank is going bankrupt. My goodness. Interesting people, interesting country, and interesting everything there. Let me say good morning to Mr. Dave West. I hope you are doing very, very well. Hello to you as well. We hope you are doing good. Okay. In some other stories, the ghost of Bakhmut. The war in Ukraine seems to be going on. People call us the ghost of Bakhmut. Gain exclusive through an interview of elite Ukrainian snipers on night raids near Bakhmut. Some of the stories. And Wagner pauses recruitment and focuses on Africa. The mercenary group head says it is deciding on its next goals, but has urged fighters to stay in touch. So they're going to be focusing on Africa, so the countries that need help to fight, and then they can also be getting whatever minerals that these people have in exchange for what their services that is being rendered. But as whether we are getting value for money once again, or is it that some leaders have come in and they think that that's the only way, or the only way forward. We can also siphon some of the funds from there. It's another story making the rounds there as well. Okay. But we have a picture of the Nigerian ousted leader Mahmoud Bazoum, who met Chad's president, who is trying to find a way to end the crisis. And what is the way to end that crisis? Because we see loss happening. 6 killed as Palestinian refugee camp in Lebanon is one of the stories. And Chinese pressures eager families to quash dissent abroad. Refugees and activists tell intimidation tactics are tearing apart the Uyghur communities overseas. How? Well, they say you can go very, very far, but you are still under their reach, and that seems to be what is happening there. But those are all coming away from Star Radio UK. Now, when it comes to the UK front, British husband who killed wife in Cyprus walks free. David Hunter can't describe how freedom feels after killing wife Janice in an assisted suicide. Well. What do you think about that? And Sunak unveils expansion of North Sea oil and gas drilling. Now, the question here is, now, if we go for an election, should an election be called tomorrow? Do you think that Labour can now win? Because with what the Labour, that is the mayor of London, who is a Labour Party member, with his stance pertaining to the ULEZ that he said is rolling out, not listening to anything. Well, they know that court has said that, well, he did everything. But the question is it the right time to do it at all? Now, we want people to go and buy, what do you call it, electric cars and all those hybrid cars. But the question is, can they afford? So you say scrappage scheme. Scrappage scheme is going to give somebody 2,000. Now you pay that 2,000 to go and get this hybrid or electric cars. What is going to happen is that every month you have an amount of money to pay because it's high purchase. Now people are struggling. People are looking at their mortgages. People are looking at their cost of living and everything. Then you come to add that to it. Well, much as it's a good policy, we don't think that it's a good time to implement it, and that is what is going on. I think that some people have to call some strikes and some demonstrations, parking the vehicles on the roads, stopping people from moving around. Well, sometime, and I think they will sit up and listen to us. But I think that when election is called, I bet you London, gosh, you're going to vote against Labour because of what the mayor is doing. Well. It is Star Radio UK. The mayoral election is going to be coming next year as well. I don't know how it's going to be panning out for him. Maybe he thinks that, well, I've done what I have to do. I don't give a hoot. But, well, what do you think? We'll be talking more about all those in a next moment. But wherever you are, stay tuned. It is Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. We're going to be enjoying some music. And once that ends, we'll be having Mr. Olayomi Koiki coming in to bring you updates from Nigeria. And this is Maximum Afro Praise medley featuring Shadrach Mensah. Enjoy it, and I'll be with you. Stay tuned.
Next level, everybody go. We say, hey! Thine is the kingdom and power, the glory forever and ever. Unto you I sing hallelujah, amen. Thine is the kingdom and power, the glory forever and ever. Unto you I sing hallelujah, amen. One more time and say,
enlighten your day with Starr Radio.
Unto you I sing hallelujah, amen. Everybody! Thine is the kingdom and power, glory forever and ever. Unto you I sing hallelujah, amen. Glory be to the Lord in the highest. Come on, everybody. One more time, sir. And sing. Glory be to the Lord in the highest. Everybody shout hallelujah. Hallelujah. Everybody say hallelujah. Shout hallelujah. Hallelujah. Sing hallelujah. Hallelujah. Everybody shout hallelujah. Hallelujah. Sing hallelujah. Hallelujah. You can shout hallelujah. Everybody go. Lord, we lift our hands in worship as we bless your holy name. You deserve it. Everybody go. Lord, we lift our hands in worship. Are you ready to dance? As we bless your holy name.
Enlighten your day with Starr Radio. Archie on Starr Radio. No one. There's no one else like you. Nobody. There is no one else like you. You are great. You're the miracle so great. There is no one else like you. There is no one.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
This is Starr Radio.
Are you ready to turn it up? Are you ready to turn it up?
Oh yeah, there is none like you. Bishop Adesina says Tinubu's intervention to Niger could threatening the military ruler not looking inward under his cabinet and land Niger Republic experience is closed inside Nigeria. Niger will soon happen to him. But you know what? When it comes to our leaders, they think they are all untouchable, you know? But there's an adage, a Ghanaian adage that says that when you see that your neighbor's house is on fire or your neighbor's beard is on fire, you better get yourself a bucket of water ready to dip your beard in before it happens to you. But what lessons are the African leaders looking so far? Well, we know that ECOWAS started saying all sorts when which countries started with it? Mali, Burkina Faso, and a few of them. But they decided, well, we will give you whenever we want to do whatever, hand over to a civilian rule. But what have their sanctions done? Now you know what is happening? If more of them continue on this path, they are also ganging up to form their own group so they can trade among themselves. Then what have we got? Well, now, you know, interestingly, they have Russia, who is also putting their nose in there, trying to wrestle their way or wriggle their way in there to also have an impact there. It's not coming away from Starr Radio UK. The last one going to be coming away from there. Tinubu, that's what we were saying. Now, was it time for him to become the ECOWAS leader? Because he's got lots that he needs to deal at home. Well. Everybody say, Nigeria is not as respected abroad due to kind of characters leading us. Peter Obi is saying, oh my God. So should it happen that Peter Obi becomes let's say the tribunal rules and say that Peter Obi should become the substantive president. So there's not going to be a rerun. They say there's a rerun, then Peter Obi wins. Okay, let's take it that way. Will Peter Obi be a good one that will change the image of Nigeria as a whole? That's the question there. But it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. On a very, very wonderful morning here in London. A bit cloudy as I gave the weather forecast. Not too sunny. There was a bit of drizzle this morning, but it's all good. You know, we're enjoying that. Comparing that to what is happening in some the southern part of Europe and northern part of Africa, where there is blazes and stuff like that. Hopefully this week we won't have anything of the sort. Well. It is time for me to take you to our North London studios where we have the one and only, still the reigning champion and the White Lion. Okay, my brother and colleague and co-presenter Mr. Olayomi Koiki in our North London studios, and let me say, Yomi, good morning to you.
Well, a very good morning to you, Mr. Archie. Good morning to all our listeners and viewers from around the world, and welcome once again to the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. The last day of the month, quite a lot to put on the table this morning, but let me come back again to you in the studio. Good morning to those that have joined us on the sister broadcast, and I say good morning with a very beautiful weather from London, where we are also communicating across the globe. Good morning once again. Let me come back to you in the studio, Mr. Archie.
Yes, how are you doing? How was the weekend, and how are my little ones there?
Well, the little ones are right there behind the scene as our technical engineer. We're grateful. They're doing very well with some extra stuff in the house. Let me put it that way. So just in case, some of those little sound filter through. But we will be able to say that the little ones are doing very well, and I hope yours are doing great as well.
Oh yes, we are all doing great. We thank God Nigeria didn't happen to us over the weekend, and we are back here. And to every one of you on the various platforms listening to us, once again we say welcome. We thank God that Nigeria has not happened to you. But let's go straight to Nigeria, because there's lots of things happening there. Now we have the incidents in Niger, and unfortunately, I don't know what to say, but unfortunately, when Tinubu was appointed the ECOWAS president, we were saying that no, it was too soon for him, because he just come in. He had not even asked at the time. Gotten the list of his cabinet. He's not formed his cabinet yet. Now he managed to do that last week. We know that they are going to be probed from today, so then we know what is going to happen. And then we have Niger issue happening, but the president saying that he is going to give a presidential statement or address the nation tonight. Now, what is he going to be talking about there? That's the question on the lips of most people this morning. Yomi.
This week is going to be a test of time for the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and I'm going to give you some of the breakdown why this week is very, very important. The reason for that is in the next 48 hours, while the president is trying to resolve the problem in Niger, he has a lot to address at home, and that is the NLC strike. The NLC have now released a lot of leaflets, and that means the whole nation will be on a complete total lockdown in the next 48 hours. That was trying that the president was trying to avoid. And if you remember, when he came on board, there were some meetings between the president and the NLC team, but it seems that doesn't seem to be working anymore, and that literally means that the system will go on a full total lockdown in the next 48 hours. Today start the beginning of the sit-at-home of the Biafra in the southeast, even in the midst of letters that was purported. How the letter got out of DSS, for us that believe that Nnamdi Kanu was not given access to pen and pencil. I have visited one or two people in the prison here in the UK in the last 25 years, and you are not allowed to take anything into the DSS, the prison premises. But it seems that their lawyer came out with a letter just about few days while we were off air to state that Nnamdi Kanu requested the Biafra not to go on a sit-at-home, which is 2 weeks from today. That's number two. Then the president then also have to deal with the Niger Republic of Niger, due to the coup d'etat that has literally kickstart. So what we are looking at now is three same events happening that the president will have to deal with. The president I was listening to during the emergency summit in Abuja yesterday of the ECOWAS have given the Republic of Niger literally a week to determine how to bring back democracy, or there will be full force. What the full force mean is what I don't understand. But let's come back again to part of the discussion this morning. Amidst the potential invasion of the Republic of Niger, the Nigerian Labour Congress protest, the Biafra sit-at-home for 2 weeks, the president have decided that he must address Nigerians tonight, and I've just given you part of what we're expecting. That that address will take up at about 1900 hours UK time, which is 7 p.m. local time in Nigeria. This was contained in the presidential spokesperson Dele Alake yesterday. The President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will make a broadcast to the nation today, being the end of the month. This is going to be happening, and we'll be following that as well. We will pick the transmission, and I'll be telling you more details of what the president will be saying. But for now, let me come back again to you in the studio, because there's still a lot to discuss as Nigeria is going through a very, very rough time, and I'll be telling you everything we need to know on the Starr Radio UK. Once again, we are all connected to our TikTok, the Instagram, the MixLR, and the listeners from around the world that are listening to the Starr Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Yes, listeners, Mr. Olayomi Koiki in North London studios. I'm actually here in the South studios to bring you updates from Nigeria. Aziz, good morning to you. It's a morning to you, Archie, Mr. Koiki, with the rest of the team as well. Morning. We hope that you are doing very, 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 very well. Okay, now let's come to the NLC strikes that is going to be taking place. We'll come to the IPOP one, the sit-at-home in the southeast as well. But there's a situation where when the president came here, I think they were going to a step further, saying that they were going to get some injunction from the court to stop them from embarking on it. Now, what happened to that injunction then?
But the injunction, according to the government, still stand. And remember that they got that injunction when the NLC refused to listen to the president, and they were going to go on that full-scale strike. But it seems that whatever it is, there is no court order stopping us from embarking on a peaceful protest. Is the message coming back, from the leader of the NLC that are going to be going through these, strike. So let's go through to what we know. There is no court order stopping us from embarking on a peaceful protest. The Nigerian Labour Congress tells the president. The Nigerian Labour Congress has told the Solicitor of Federation and the Permanent Secretary Ministry of Justice that there is no order to be interim, interlocutory, or perpetual order from the National Industrial Court or any other court restraining Nigerian workers from participating in a peaceful rally that will be happening in the next 48 hours.
Interesting. Now, Bishop Adesina says that, well, you know what? Tinubu and the his Nigerian cabinet are not serious. They could not even negotiate with Labour against nationwide strike. Now, playing games, he is talking about resolving Niger Republic's issues. That is useless. That's what he's saying there. But what do you think? Put your comments on our broadcast, or whether it's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and any of the ones, and then we'll be reading that one as well. And those of you on the other platform as well, post it when it comes around. Yomi will be bringing that our way as well. But it is Starr Radio UK. Now, so then NLC strike, which areas do you think is going to affect? Which areas is it going to impact?
The NLC strike is also going to be colluding to sit at home, so everybody's just going to be sitting at home, just as the Senate president said that it seems that Simon Ekpa has been able to take charge of the Southeast all the way from Finland, and he actually addressed Simon Ekpa as the real governor. But Simon Ekpa said, I'm not the real governor, I am the government in exile, and the directive is coming. But the NLC would also have a big impact, because what we're going to be seeing now is that as much as there's a sit at home in the Biafra, which has been starting today for 2 weeks, we do not know how long the NLC are planning to be on the street. Let me take you back to 2012 when we had a similar protest when Jonathan removed the subsidy. What we end up saying was that my mom got caught up in that. She couldn't return back to London because the airport was shut, the whole street was complete total lockdown, and that went for more than 2 weeks. So we are now seeing a two-week sit at home, quote and unquote, from the protest of the NLC, which is going to be across the 36 states. So it does not matter whether you travel to any other state, because transportation and everything will be on a total lockdown. People won't be going to work, especially those that are working with the government. We are likely to see more problems ahead. But again, I'm also going to be following what the president will be saying tonight, because the use of force in Niger Republic, due to the coup d'etat that is happening there, we saw the president of different countries attending that event. I'll be telling you what was the outcome of the communique before the end of the program today. But one thing is, Nigerians would like to know what kind of force are we using, because already there's a lot of pressure on the ground in Nigeria. We still have the terrorist that is operating, and it seems also the genocide happening in the southeast by the same military is still happening. So the military are already stretched out, but it seems that the ECOWAS are now mobilizing a force to go into Republic of Niger. How that is going to happen, because the warning from the Niger coup d'etat are saying, keep away for now. Is this going to be a very big test of time for Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president? And it seems already that Nigerians would have to wait a little bit further. With Nigerians enduring hardship on several fronts caused by the hike in petrol, it seems some of our elite care less as they saw the Senate president still attending a birthday party in Victoria Island. And the question is, are they really sure that they can face the brunt of what Nigerians are going through in the midst of crisis? Elaborate parties should have been reduced, but it seems our politicians care less, and we hope the situation in Kenya will not also push Nigerians out on the street when it comes to food crisis, petrol crisis. And it seems as at this morning, the naira is now 1,140 as against the pound. The dollar is pushing to 900 naira to a dollar.
Well, listeners, it is Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, bringing the time now to 20 minutes past the top of the hour. In our North London studios, Mr. Olayomi Koiki. In the South studios, it's me, Archie, and we are bringing you updates from Nigeria. So now let's move on to some of the other stories that we are looking at this morning. Now, interestingly, the DSS, some way, somehow, let me put it that way, are said to adhere to some of the rules of the court that they should allow Nnamdi Kanu to see his personal physician, and it's alleged that he has gone to his personal physician has attended to him. Now, how true is that, and do you have any details about that story, Yomi?
It seems that like fellas say, government magic plays out when there's pressure on the table, and the reason why there's a pressure is because the sit-at-home that the Biafra has decided they will go ahead, even though one of the lawyers representing Nnamdi Kanu, Olayomi, I'm not too sure how he was able to sneak out a letter purported to have been written by Nnamdi Kanu to the Biafra, that the Biafra should not go ahead with the strike, with the 2 weeks ultimatum protest sit-at-home, which is a civil disobedience, which is allowed under the international law. But us come back to the DSS allowing Nnamdi Kanu to now see his own personal doctor. They have been crying out that Nnamdi Kanu's health is really, really having a big toll on him, and he needs to be given access to see his medical doctor. But it seems that the DSS care less about that until the government in exile of the Biafra, Simon Ekpa, stated that the only way we can keep the fire burning, especially concern to the leader, is to sit at home. Maybe that has led to the DSS having a bit of sympathy on allowing Nnamdi Kanu to now have access to his own medical team. Is the question on the table, but I look like it maybe it's just the reason why, and let's see what we know so far. The Federal High Court in Abuja on July 20 ordered the DSS to grant Nnamdi Kanu access to his personal physician. This was dismissed by the DSS. It's almost a month plus, but it seems that information coming back now says that according to the counsel for the IPOB leader, Ifeanyi Ejiofor, told correspondent on the phone, according to that, on Sunday, that Nnamdi Kanu has been in detention since 2021, had access to his personal physician, and had been taken back into the custody. Again, I believe the whole reason for that is because of the sit-at-home that the government in exile, Simon Ekpa, has called, and I'm not too sure what is going to be the response of the government in exile. We pick that up, but for now, let me come back again. There is a lot of pressure in Nigeria. How Bola Tinubu seems to manage all these is still something that we've talked about. Remember, we've been talking about this for some time now, because already the issue of Igboho is still there. The issue that Igboho mother died, there is now call from so many Yorubas, especially to our kings, that it is time that they lift the embargo on Dr. Chief Sunday Adeyemo Igboho for reason that has nothing to do with Bola Tinubu's government, but for reason that he was fighting a just cause until the former president Muhammadu Buhari wanted to assassinate him, just as he wanted to assassinate Nnamdi Kanu in 2017. 17 people died in 2017. 2 people died in 2021 when 2022 rather, and 2021 when Igboho's house was attacked. Starr Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London, as they say, fire on the mountain, and it seems the government must now start reviewing how to deal with all these crises, from our neighbor, Republic of Niger, to our real neighbor in country, which are the Igbos, and likewise the Yorubas. Remember also, the El Zakizaki case is still there, and the most important one is the NLC, which is going to be happening in 48 hours. So all this is reason why Bola Tinubu must now speak directly to Nigerians, maybe just to calm the situation, because if the situation goes out of hand, we do not want to see what we have been looking at on the screen especially coming from Kenya, where everything to be upside down.
Well, listeners, let me say good morning to Anthony Adedeji as well, and we're bringing you more of the stories. But Yomi, when it comes to the DSS allowing Nnamdi Kanu to go to see his access to his physician, his personal physician, and the fact that it is alleged that there is a letter that has been penned or penciled by him, I'm thinking that, was it a butter? Is it something, okay, write something of the sort, then we'll allow you to see it so that your people will not be doing whatever. Is that
catch up this early hours of the morning listening to some of the Twitter space of the Biafra. Simon Ekpa was in that as well. I was just about 5 o'clock this morning. You could tell that the Biafra are right there, because the only way they can engage is through the social media. And the anchor of the program was trying to wonder why the paper was still as neat, when they got it back out of the DSS custody. Because what they have been told for the last 2 years, that Nnamdi Kanu has been kidnapped, rendition by the former president Muhammadu Buhari, just as he wanted to do. It's not the first time he's been trying to kidnap people. He's a kidnapper anyway. So because he wanted to kidnap Umaru Diko in the 80s, right here in London, not too far from the central London, but that was spoiled. The Nigerian aircraft was parked, but it seems that those doors and those that were meant to be the real engine of Nnamdi Kanu sold him out anyway, because they sold him out for probably peanut. But eventually the question is, how did Aloy Ejimako got this pen? Some are asking, was he put in his bottom? We don't know, because we know that you get searched before you get into the DSS. How did he manage to get the pen, the paper, and the inner Kanu there wrote on it? But the response coming back, in the last few days that has been coming on air, as Simon Ekpa, the governor in exile, have been responding back to back, on that particular issue. I'm going to pick you some of his responses that I've been following, and those responses are, we will go ahead with the strike. As this morning I'm seeing the images, empty roads as usual, the government offices are closed as the 2 weeks start already. Simon Ekpa believes that the only way they can tell the world their story is because Nnamdi Kanu hasn't committed any offense. Release Nnamdi Kanu, call for Biafra referendum, pull your terrorist army out of Biafra land. If after 2 weeks he is not released, we will lock down the Biafra for the government official for the next 3 weeks. So it seems that the 2 weeks is a testing ground. Remember that they had a 1 week. Also, they've been able to give some palliative to their loved ones as well, which we've been able to see. It seems that either that palliative might be able to catch up everyone. We don't know. But we do know that even the NLC strike will have to be palaver, as we say in our own language. Star Radio UK, I'll come back again to you in the studio as we continue to monitor as many of the news coming out of Nigeria today. Remember that today was meant to be when the ministers appointed by Bola Tinubu will be going through the Senate screening. Whether that is still going to go ahead, because while that was about to start, we heard about the Niger coup. We heard about the NLC saying, it seems that the government is not prepared to remove back the subsidy or bring back something that will make a little bit of impact. It seems also the Biafra sit at home. So all this pressure, the economy and all that is making situation to be unbearable. As we say, currency in circulation also is hitting about 2.26 trillion. I don't know how many Nigerians have currency in their pocket, because as we do say, the economy of Nigeria is really, really struggling, according to financial analysts and some of those that have been talking about it. Let me come back again to you in the studio as we continue to review some of the news headline coming out of Nigeria this morning.
Well, listeners, Mr. Olayomi Koiki for you, Star Radio UK updates from Nigeria. Now let's look at the call by some Yoruba people saying that Chief Sunday Igboho should be, whatever embargo that is on him should be lifted so that he can come to the country. Do you think that even if a court rules that, allow him for humanitarian grounds, and he's allowed, do you think it's advisable for him to come to the country? Because I don't trust the DSS, and I don't know whether you do trust them.
And that has been, the other argument from some of the concerned Yorubas, that even if is given that embargo, advice will still remain that Igboho should not come back to Nigeria to give the final right, of his mother that died, a week, last week. That will be something that will be really, really, looked into internally from those, the family, and Professor Adebanji Akintoye would decide with him as well, and the family of Dr. Chief Sunday Igboho. We don't know what is going to happen. The mother has not yet been buried, but there have been 8-day prayers that was held yesterday on Saturday. More people are still visiting the family compound in Igboho, where Igboho is also taking the name of the town, because Igboho that we are hearing is the name of the town. So he's actually bearing the name of the town. His surname is Adeyemo, but people tend to call him Igboho because he is actually bearing the name of the town. The town are probably looking forward to see him, but like you said, more people are concerned. I've been receiving calls as a spokesman of Igboho that we should not allow him to return back to Nigeria, even if the embargo is lifted. I saw Talon in Abuja. Remember that we've been seeing Talon in Nigeria for the last couple of days, especially even after the Republic of Niger coup d'etat that happened. We do not know whether on the sideline there is any kind of engagement between the president of Nigeria and the president of Benin Republic to decide on the case of Igboho. But what we know is Igboho was given that humanitarian support in Benin Republic due to the rule of law that believed that whatever allegation was on him while Buhari was trying to assassinate him in his home, when we lost two individuals, Alhaji Fatai and Alhaji Adogon, the close friends and the uncle, it seems already that Buhari ran away and left Bola Tinubu to deal with that issue. But the call is the embargo must be released so that at least he can make his way and visit his family in abroad where they are residing presently.
Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio, okay? Should embargo be lifted from Chief Sunday Igboho so he can visit his people and then attend the mom's funeral? Well, that is another question for another day. But it is Starr Radio UK, 11:32 the time, the morning show, the program. Now let's come to MFLA. Now the president is appointing, isn't he appointing a new judge to do that? And has the president got a right to do that? Isn't it the duty of the Chief Justice? And who is the Chief Justice of Nigeria now? Yomi?
We don't have one yet because the cabinet is not yet full. So what we have is still shadow government as we speak right now. 60 days to the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He's not been able to give us everything that we want, but 28 ministers have been appointed. Expectation is that in the next 2 weeks, more will also be coming in place. But we still have to wait for that to who is going to be the AGF. The AGF has a lot to deal with. There are so many cases. Let's talk about the case of the former CBN governor Emefiele. We saw how he was mishandled when he went to court in Lagos State, but it seems that whatever the case is, the rule of law in Nigeria is no longer, the judiciary has been destroyed, and it has been destroyed by the APC government because we saw how they have refused to listen to their own court. You brought back Nnamdi Kanu as an example. You refused to listen to the court. Showore is another case. El Zakizaki is another case. And it seems that Emefiele, that was part of the previous government, he was enjoying the immunity. As at the time that Buhari was there, Buhari is no longer able to give that immunity to him anymore. And that literally means that Emefiele is now struggling, with his lawyers to get him out in the bail condition. But again, we have to wait to see what will be the outcome of the former CBN governor, Goodwin Emefiele. Some have even termed it that says that it might be because he's from the southeast. That is why he's being maltreated like this. Because I listened to his brother. His brother said it seems that Tinubu is not doing much, to give Emefiele what he would have loved to. But the question is, Emefiele was there when Nnamdi Kanu was not respected in the court as well. But Emefiele never spoke out about it. Maybe because he was part of the government. And like they say, things have turned around now, and Emefiele is now feeling the pain that Nnamdi Kanu felt, Igboho felt, Sowore felt, El Zakizaki, and many innocent Nigerians for the rule of law that refuse to work in the country.
Okay, listeners, it's quite an interesting issue or discussions this morning from updates from Nigeria, but we'll have to move on to some other stories that is making the rounds, and therefore we'll go back to Yomi for the rest of the stories. Over to you, Yomi.
Well, let's go back as we saw again the concern that if care is not taken, we might see the situation we saw during the lockdown. Remember, during the lockdown, many Nigerians decided to snoop around, and they were able to find out where foodstuff were kept. And it seems that took place in Adamawa yesterday. Grains were stolen. The governor have now called for a curfew due to the fact that many Nigerians in that particular state refused to find out why they are not being taken care of and food are kept somewhere, maybe for the reason to look after them in the first place. We don't know. 11:36 Star Radio UK, the morning show. NLC insists on the Wednesday strike, mobilize their workers, and according to the headline, the Nigerian Labour Congress has now commenced mass mobilization. I've seen a lot of placard that will be used. It's already in circulation, about almost 15 different ones. I'll see if I can give you some of what is written on some of them. Ahead of his planned nationwide strike schedule to begin Wednesday to protest the hardship occasioned by the fuel subsidy removal. In a schedule obtained on Sunday, the NLC urged Nigerians to join us at the Unity Fountain, Abuja, on Wednesday, August 2nd at 7 a.m. There is nowhere in the world where government leaves the citizen totally to a vigorous of market without some measure of control and protection. The federal government should immediately deal decisively with the criminal content of the subsidy instead of exposing ordinary citizens to avoidable pain and hardship. As a matter of national importance, it is imperative to fix all our refineries to be able to cater for the domestic fuel consumption. This is coming from the NLC this morning. So let's come back again as a 2-week sit-at-home is non-negotiable. That is coming from the government in exile. The Prime Minister, Simon Ekpa, wants the Indigo. The Prime Minister of the Biafra, Simon Ekpa, has warned Indigo to adhere to the 2-week sit-at-home order that he issued. He went on Sunday. This was on his Twitter handle. That came back and say ECPA had on July 11, 2023 issued the 2-week sit-at-home, which according to him would commence today, 31st of July 2023. He noted that the sit-at-home seeks to address certain issues like the immediate and unconditional release of IPOB leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who remains illegally detained at the DSS dungeon, in preparation for Biafra's self-referendum, and to further put the world on notice that Biafrans are taking their future into their hands. Number 3, to invalidate the illegitimacy of those who parade themselves as Nigerian representative with the Biafran territory. And the last one, the sit-at-home will therefore take place in the following order: the 31st, 2023 to Friday, the August 2023, and there will be a total lockdown in the Biafra land. He said on Saturday, 6th of August and 7th August, the 2-week sit-at-home will go on break as all Biafrans market will be reopened. We will monitor that and see the reaction, but like I said, so far this morning, as usual, the whole part is locked down as we speak. Subsidy removal, Nigeria on the brink of collapse. It seems that some Catholic bishops are speaking out as well. The Catholic Bishop Conference of Nigeria, CBCN, yesterday raised the alarm that the removal of the fuel subsidy without cushion, the effect has put the country on the brink of collapse. Remember that we've been saying that even the leader of the GO Redeemed Christian Church told us some few years back that if care is not taken, Nigeria might break up, as we know. Again, the question is, what would Bola Tinubu say tonight that will probably allow Nigerians to slow back and look into his government that is still a new government and there's still more time? But the president of the CBSCN, Louis Iwuruju Ugoriji, raised the alarm in the homily deliver at the Maria Azomta Cathedral during the reception of the Supreme Subordinate President of the Knight of the Sight John International, Professor Remi Uche, in Owerri weekend, said Nigeria might be heading for the precipice if nothing urgent is done to effectively check the current economic crisis facing the nation and its citizens. He said further, the suffering in the land has over the years been galloping, uncontrollable. Our growing economic crisis became exhibited with the recent withdrawal of the petrol subsidy by the federal government. Indeed, Nigeria is now on the brink of collapse. Government has not ceased to inupdate citizens. Maybe Bola Tinubu will be doing that later on tonight. We will be monitoring that as well. Ohaize backs Enugu governor, battle against it at home is also the headline. 88 robbery suspects arrested in Lagos. As we do say, when there's no job, more problem, it seems Nigerians are going into the issue of kidnapping, other robbery activities that is happening as well. Also, I've been following more of the cow that seems to be infected with disease. 5 of them were burnt in Lagos yesterday. We hope that the Lagos State Governor will be taking every measure to protect the citizens and the 20 million Lagosians and Nigerians that are living in Lagos for businesses and other reasons as well. I'll take one more headline, then go straight to the social media where the battle goes on every day for Nigerians. Nigerians not respected abroad due to the kind of characters leading us. This is actually coming from the Labour presidential aspirant Peter Obi. Peter Obi says that Nigerians doesn't seem to be respected. And I'll give you an example. I remember last year during the COVID, Professor Wale Soyinka was traveling through Paris. He was stopped. It wasn't something more than the fact that just as many Nigerians go through the same problems. More Nigerians faces problems when they travel through the Morocco, all these other regions, and sometimes more Nigerians faces crises even outside those territories as well. The presidential candidate of the Labour Party at the 2023 election, Peter Obi, says international communities will not respect Nigeria because of the characters leading the country. I don't know who is addressing those characters to. It could be anybody from the civil servant to the president to the governors. Mr. Obi spoke about many Nigerians are disrespected in other countries in a Twitter space that was anchored on Saturday. They cannot respect us where we are able today. They cannot respect us because of the characters in charge of our country, said Mr. Obi, a former governor of Anambra State. All of us politicians have failed the country. This was part of the independent journalist David Odoye, who recently denied entry into Zimbabwe. Mr. Obi said he had a similar experience where he was disrespected in another country. I'm not sure why he doesn't want to mention UK, because we know that he was stopped in UK, even though the APC or the other political party, just as they wanted to link Peter Obi. Remember we said that on Friday when a picture circulated, and that's the picture there, of Simon Ekpa, Aisha Yusuf behind, and I don't know who was doing this, but it seems that whoever was behind it was doing it for a particular reason. Let's go straight again. The Super Falcon are still doing very well in Australia. We will continue to monitor that. I'll be giving you more update on that later on tomorrow when we come back because of time spent already. Let me now go back and see who is trending. Simon Ekpa seems to be the top head of the trend in Nigeria as at over the weekend. And the reason for that is, it seems everybody, I'm just looking at the live message coming now, Ireland 0, Nigerian 0 at the Super Falcon World Cup that is going on right now. And I can say Simon Ekpa seems to be trending very heavily this morning, and all this got to do with the 2 weeks at home. African Confidential at Bumi_speaks. I have never hidden my support for Simon Ekpa. I won't start today or any other time soon, regardless of any backlash from anyone, irrespective of who you are, because I recognize a true freedom fighter when I see one. They are hard to come by, and know one, and know them, and know that they don't always have to be on ground. If the impact of their voice is already felt on the ground, Forget what you think. So you can quit the envious. Let him come fight from home. Talk already. It makes you look foolish. And when people say we should come back home, let me remind a kidnap that took place again over the weekend of a journalist. And this we are saying today, whoever is behind that, just as Daddy Yati has been kidnapped for the last 4 years. Another journalist in the name of, let's get that name out, the journalist Chinazo Uba, otherwise known as So Nkwa, was whisked away on Thursday. Like I said, Nigerian news is always delayed. I picked this up over the weekend after it was trending on the hashtag. It was taken away on Thursday by the officers after he finished his anchoring his morning program. Imagine finishing my program and the MI5 or the UK police have to bust into my house and remove me because of some of what we say that might not really align with, I heard you talking about how we're going to vote out Labour Party for making life difficult for us in UK when it comes to Sadiq Khan, when it comes to, the whole, go and buy a new car when some of us are already facing difficulties.
Yeah.
These are some of the reasons why we say that when people say come back home, we say no, there's no home yet, because there's too much injustice going on where the security agency have become a tool for the corrupt politicians from the southeast to the middle belt to the southwest. And it seems that this individual was whisked away on Thursday after his morning program on Osisa FM, a radio station in Owerri, the state capital. Osisa FM, where the journalists work, is owned by Catholic Diocese of Owerri. And we are now saying to the United Nations, the Amnesty, and likewise those that are in support of rule of law, to ask whoever is behind this should now allow him to either go to court or allow him to be free so that he can return back to his family. So when people say Simon Ekpa should come back home, myself and the rest of those that are real campaigners of the freedom, we say we can't come back because the security operatives are killers, just like those were killed during the NSAS and their bodies were taken away until leak memo came out to say Sanwo-Olu was going to pay 60 million naira to bury 130 innocent bodies. The question is, where were those bodies when we were asking them 3 years ago? Star Radio UK, I'll come back again to you in the studio and we can do a better, more review before we bring the program to an end.
Well, listeners, I tell you, this is the place to be because we're bringing you everything that you need to know, and you can also share your take with us on that. Mr. Olayomi Koiki, North London studios, I'm actually here in the South studios. But Yomi, interestingly, whilst you were looking at that, we'll come to the president's state address this tonight. But now the tribunal, the election petition tribunal, is as fixed to tomorrow for Tinubu, Atiku, Obi to adopt their final written addresses. Now, how do you think the whole thing is going? And can you smell anything there at all, or we are just following it?
Well, like I said, there's so much on the table. The election tribunal is what many Nigerians, especially those of the obedient, are waiting for. They're waiting carefully for the outcome. We have had different leak memo coming from their WhatsApp group, especially from the obedient group, that they will come out and there will be a massive protest if what they're expecting doesn't turn around. We've seen Atiku come out in a protest. Just after that, the question is, we've seen Tinubu says there will be anarchy if I am removed. So it seems all I can say is that for not to speculate, we just have to wait, let them complete what they have to do. But it seems that the judges are really under pressure, and I hope the DSS will not be picking them up before they make their final decision. Imagine the judge are missing when they are meant to be giving a decision, and that would be one of the biggest problems that we have.
Well, I'm laughing to that, but that was exactly what came into my mind. I'm like, if they give any verdict that is contrary to what maybe the president want or the DSS want, I bet you they will not go home. They'll be ramped up. Like
maybe by tomorrow we might see if we can get to speak to the leader of the Biafra government in exile, Simon Ekpa. See if we can bring him on air to speak to us on the Star Radio UK in the morning show.
Yeah.
Just to give us an highlight of what the 2 weeks and what is all around it as well. So maybe tomorrow because of the time constraint today, and we haven't told him ahead. We'll see if we can get him to speak to us so that we can have a background. But when it comes to, the three candidates, every single one of them would not know what will be the outcome. But there's been a lot of pressure on the judges, and the pressure would determine whether it will come fair or it's going to be the same. The judges come back. But I mean, we've seen rerun. Like I told you, the Turkish government had a rerun
Kenya
election.
had a rerun
we've seen court cases between Biden and Trump, and we've seen court cases, and even in California, is it Florida, where there was a lot of pressure during some of the election in those regions. So it's just that the three candidates have huge followers, but the question is, will there ever be rule of law in terms of how the election was conducted? Because there was a lot of pressure where people were not allowed to vote in certain states, and all the reason for that is because many Nigerians continue to be marginalized, either from both sides. Whether you are Yoruba, you get marginalized, whether you are Igbo or whether you are Hausa. But it seems that the top marginalizer are the Fulanis that took control and destroyed the economy for a very long time, with so much evidence. And it seems all that is now building up, because we saw how Buhari played out the ethnic card while he was in government. He employed his own clansman. He actually opened the borders and allowed Fulani terrorists to infiltrate the country. And every time now, more Nigerians get kidnapped, and if they're not killed, they are paying huge ransom. Remember that we talked about a diaspora, a Yoruba that came from Maryland. He was kidnapped. It was exactly a year on the 27th that he died after paying a whooping 8 million naira, which is almost close to about 15,000 pounds or thereabout. He was not just killed. Another young girl, Rachel, a former final year student, was killed. The young man that took the money was killed, and he was only coming back to Nigeria just to support the community in Ogbomoso. 1 year down the line, nobody knows, who have been arrested. So these are what is also facilitating to people to say, we've had enough, we can dissolve this unity, it's not working. But it seems that some are saying, let's give it the final hope. And the outcome of the election tribunal might be another fire that we are just waiting for.
Wow, how much pressure can the country take? And what is the way forward? Wow. But we have the president who says he's going to address the nation today. Now, my question is, which areas is he going to be looking at? We know the fuel subsidy is topmost, and we have the NLC that's backing on us right there. We know that the Southeast economy will not be doing well if this 2 week sit-at-home strike continues. Now, which areas is he going to be addressing? And look at what the Yorubas, they seem to be very quiet and watching everything that is going on. Should Sunday Igboho be allowed to come to Nigeria to observe the final funeral rites for the mom? Would they be allowed? And even that, would the courts, if the courts rule, would the DSS, who is a law unto themselves, adhere to that? Well, we saw Buhari saying to Emefiele, don't you worry, everything is fine. The moment Buhari left the scene, we have Emefiele who is being pursued and by the DSS like no man's business. What do you think is going to happen tonight on this address? But I promise you, Yomi says he's going to link it up, and therefore, if you want to know, just stay there. But tomorrow morning, we promise you one thing for sure, we're going to analyze it and make sure that you understand everything that went on. Yomi, before we go,
well, it is, good morning from Oluremi Kilanko. Gabi says, good morning to Starr Radio UK, Archie, and the fans. Omo Olubaka says, we need our heritage and our freedom now, no going back. Aziz says, good morning. And likewise, Peter Pan says, Mazinam the Kano is the messenger sent by the people to free Africa from mental slavery. Forget what Pastor to me say, Pastor, no one go heaven. Why you no one go heaven? And the reason for that is that the pastor doesn't want to go to the heaven. That's why they use a bulletproof vehicle when they move around, so that when somebody attack them, they are safe, while the other convoy, when they get attacked, they are probably dead, as we have seen some of those pastors that drive bulletproof vehicles. Starr Radio UK, I'll come back to you, get to you in the studio. But later on this evening, we will monitor what Tinubu will be saying. And tomorrow at exactly 11 o'clock, I'll be giving you all the details of the outcome of the presidential nationwide address at 1900 hours.
Okay, Yummy. Let me say thank you very, very much for this wonderful update this morning. We'll catch up later.
Thank you so much, Mr. Archie. Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Well, listeners, that has been Mr. Olayomi Koiki bringing you updates from Nigeria. It is quite an interesting thing that is happening there this morning. But let's see. Do you think that was the right time for Tinubu to be appointed as the chairman of the ECOWAS? This is because they see themselves as the bigger nation on the African continent, especially in the sub-region as well. They have the biggest population and the biggest economy. Let me put it that way. I don't know whether that of South Africa and Nigeria, I'm not very sure about whatever it is. But is it why they appointed him when he had not even, as at the time, appointed his own cabinet? And also facing a barrage of issues going on in the country at the moment. Now, what do you think? So this evening, exactly at 19 hours, I think we'll be linking up with Yomi, and then we'll be bringing you everything that you need to know with the presidential address today. Okay, it is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. 4 minutes to the top of the hour at a time. We're going to take a musical break, and then I will open the lines for you to add your voice to the discussions this morning. But hey, this is a song from one of Ghana's finest. His name is Afriye Wuta, and it says "Country Hot." Which country is hot? I bet you all the West African countries are hot. Those who are crying, clamoring for a fight against the coup plotters, or those who have conducted the coup d'etat in Niger and all those places. But who cares? If the people say that is what they want, and anything that will serve their interest, why not? After all, their government are supposed to. But if the governments, we say, oh, we have to, respect democracy, the rule of law. But we see blatantly that all these laws are being blatantly, disrespected. So what is the point? But well, enjoy this song, and I'll be with you. Stay tuned.
Hungry man say fix the country. Bellefou say fix yourself.
Worldwide, online 24/7.
Fix yourself. You are listening to Starr Radio. What a plenty, the movie fest. What a plenty, the movie fest. You will get to go, plenty to go. But we still the borrow, they go. To get a job, baby, who you know. We live like cops in a barrel. Shayo, Babeshi and low. Fix yourself.
Are you ready to turn it up?
Now. Tell me who be the country? Now you be the country. Fix yourself. I wanna hear that. Hey, we say fix the country. You say fix yourself. Fix the country. We say fix yourself. Hey, tell me who be the country? Me be the country. You be the country. yourself. Your minimum wage be hand to mouth. The government know the pay for month. From the same pay the king go chop. The bills go come, their rear the pump. Oh, civil servants, then magicians, building mansions after few years. Now who cares about the coffers? And each man living for himself. We say fix the country. We say fix yourself. Aye, aye, aye. Fix the country. We say now, fix yourself. Hey, tell me who be the country? Me be the country. And you be the country. Fix yourself. Kala kala, kala kala. We say fix the country. We say fix yourself. Aye, aye, aye. Fix the country. We say now, fix yourself. Hey, tell me
this is Starr Radio.
Tell me you be the country. Fix yourself.
All around the world.
Aye, yeah. If you be cheap, you support balance. Say fix yourself.
In your car,
At work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
Oh yeah,
This is Starr Radio UK.
They are walking in my head. Fix yourself. Who be the country? Tell me you be the country. Fix yourself. Aye, yeah. If you be cheap, you support balance. Say fix yourself. Charlie, Koiki, one Ghana, one corner. Fix yourself. Oh yeah, Nara, assassin. They are walking in my head. Fix yourself. Hungry man say, fix the country. Belle fool say, fix yourself.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Welcome back to the program Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, bringing the time now to 3 minutes past the top of the hour. So we've got about another 27 minutes for the first part of the program to be brought to a close, and then we'll take you to Cyprus, where our own HRH Linda Palian is to bring you Career 101. And let me say good morning to you, Linda, and to the lovely Ya Asantua, the princess herself, and then to Mr. Palian as well. I hope you're all doing good. All right then, so let's crack on. Now if you want to join in the conversation this morning, maybe you feel like, yeah, I want you to hear my voice. Why not? Just call me on 0208 133 2257 or 58 0208 133 2257 or 58. Now, having to be in the US, Canada, or the Caribbean area, it is 00171830 032737 00171830 032737. You can also text or WhatsApp as 075 39661744 075 39661744. Our Twitter handle is Starr Radio UK, and email address is info@starradiouk.com. info@starradiouk.com. gmail.com. So make sure your dials are logged on. All right then. Now let's move on to some other stories making the rounds in other parts of the world. So far, I hope you are enjoying the show this morning. But wherever you are, don't touch the dial, cause lots more gonna be coming your way from here. After all, you know what? You are on Starr Radio UK. And
Archie on Starr Radio. Nobody does it better.
Okay, I sum it all up nicely. All right then. Now let's move on to some of the other stories making the rounds on the African continent. We have the Nigerian president and the head of ECOWAS who have issued an ultimatum to Nigeria amid popular show of defiance. And let me bring you that story. Now it says that West African Regional Bloc ECOWAS issued on Sunday an ultimatum of 1 week to the military junta that took power in Niger earlier this week to return the country to constitutional normality. Now, thousands of supporters of the military junta responded by taking to the streets of the capital, Niamey, waving Russian flags and denouncing former colonial power France. I would like to say to the European Union, African Union, and ECOWAS, please stay out of our business, pleaded one Niamey resident, Omar Bamuza. Now, in a statement published after the emergency meeting held in Abuja in Nigeria, the regional bloc did not exclude the use of force. The spokesperson for Niger, coup leader Colonel Major Amadou Adramani, responded with determination. Said the objective of this meeting is to agree a plan of aggression against Niger through an imminent military intervention in Niamey, in collaboration with African nations, not members of the organization, and certain Western countries. We remind ECOWAS once more of our firm determination to defend our country, he said. The mutineers said they overthrew President Omar Bazoum, who was elected 2 years ago in Niger's first peaceful democratic transfer of power since independence from France, because he wasn't able to secure the nation from growing jihadi violence. Mali said the same thing. Burkina Faso said the same thing. Now, what is going on? What is going on? It is Starr Radio UK. Now, when leaders try to entrench themselves, in this case, that's not what happened in Niger. So, but when people try to entrench themselves and looking at things that is happening in the West African, various West African countries, where leaders are manipulating, using the rule of law, manipulating it to their advantage. Some will say, well, it is the law that gives me the power to do all that stuff. But when, we try to take our own common sense out of the issue and just say, it's law, so, and then we just go on that path. Then it gets to a point that citizens think that, you know what, to hell with the law. We're also going to take the laws into our own hands and do whatever pleases us. So the question is, what do you think is going to happen there? It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Would the African sub-region be able to marshal its forces to attack Niger? Do you think that's going to happen? Well, still in Niger, the junta says France planning strikes to free Bazoum. The Niger military junta that seized power last week and ousted democratically elected President Mahmoud Bazoum on Monday alleged that the toppled government had authorized France to carry out strikes at the presidency to try to free Bazoum. The military junta has confined Bazoum to the presidential palace since Wednesday, has previously warned against foreign attempts to extract him, saying it will result in bloodshed and chaos. The military comments were made by Amikana Amadou Adramani, one of the coup plotters, on state television. Now, France has condemned the coup and urged Bazoum be reinstated, but has not announced any intention to intervene militarily. Now, the coup in Niger followed military takeovers in neighboring Mali and Burkina Faso over the last 2 years, all of which have come amid a wave of anti-French sentiments. Now, France has troops in the region for a decade, helping to fight an Islamist insurgency. But some locals say they want the former colonial ruler to stop intervening in their affairs. Niger has been a key ally in Western campaigns against insurgent linked to Al-Qaeda and Islamic State in the Sahel. And there are concerns the coup could open the door to greater Russian influence in the region and also allow the insurgency to spread. Now, West African Regional Bloc ECOWAS has imposed sanctions and said it could authorize the use of force if Niger coup leaders fail to reinstate ousted President Bazoum within a week. Well, they can free him. They might not reinstate him. Are they scared? That is another question. Will they adhere to it? Will he shoot all their people down? Let's see what happens. We'll be following very, very closely. But this will come your way from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Well, now Kenya is ready to lead a multinational force in Haiti and will deploy 1,000 police officers to strike to the strife-torn Caribbean nation once its office is accepted, the foreign minister said on Saturday. Now, gangs control around 80% of the Haitian capital, and violence crimes such as kidnappings for ransom, armed robbery, and carjacking are common. Now, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres and Haitian Prime Minister Ariel Henry have for nearly a year sought international intervention to help support the police, but no country had stepped forward. Now, Kenya has accepted positively consider leading a multinational force to Haiti. Kenya's Foreign Minister Alfred Mutua said in a statement late on Saturday. Now, Kenya commitment is to deploy a contingent of 1,000 police officers to help train and assist Haitian police restore normalcy in the country and protect strategic installation. Its proposed deployment still required a mandate for the UN Council and approval from domestic authorities, he said. But the question is, what can they really do? What can they really do? Now, it's like a guerrilla warfare thing. Now, those who live in that particular place know the terrain and they know how to deal with things. So how can you go say that you want to be apprehending them or fighting them, especially when you have come from outside? And why are other countries not trying to say that, you know what, we're going to give you a helping hand? What do you think? Lots more going to be coming from Africa there, but don't you worry at all. Now, let's move on straight to some other stories making the rounds in Ghana as well. Well, banking consultant Richard Etuahene has called on the government to cut its expenditure to save the central bank from its insolvency. Now, we have the Central Bank of Ghana, which actually liquidated or wiped out or merged or dissolved lots of the banks. So we're now going to dissolve them. Now, Ghana's government has written off half of the 77.6 billion cedis, which is equivalent to $7 billion it owed the central bank, and replaced the remainder with a lower yielding 50-year bond. Three sources with direct knowledge of the transaction told Reuters. Now, the latest move is part of the West African nation's push to restructure its domestic debt, a requirement to qualify the next tranche of the $3 billion International Monetary Fund rescue loan. Now, Ghana now wants to focus on negotiations with external creditors. Now, speaking this morning, Mr. Richard Etuahene indicated that the challenges could be on the way and a target used in the debt restructuring program carried out by the government. The government may have to cut its expenditure, cut the expenditure to bare less minimum so that it can use some of its fiscal gains to support the central bank. That is what is required. Now, we have to look at the fiscal policy side because you need to recapitalize it. It goes on further to say you can only do that when your settlers on the other side are able to, because now the IMF is saying that you cannot refinance the government. If it was earlier, they possibly could have refinanced it and they will have been. Now they are saying that the zero financing and refinancing means that we will have to do our physical mathematics very well. He continued by saying that so that we can get taxes or something to help the Bank of Ghana to come to its position and function like a real central bank. So far, what have they been up to? That is the question on the lips of most people. The central bank actually, in this particular situation, what has the president done so far? What has the government of the NPP done so far? And what is the impact on Ghanaians as a whole? Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Bringing the time now to a quarter past 12. We will be bringing you some more stories in the next 15 minutes, and then we'll be taking you to Cyprus, where our own HRH Linda Palian is. But wherever you are, don't touch the dial. Feel free, share your thoughts with us. Akufo-Addo, inefficient administration, biggest threat to Ghana's democracy. That's what the former President Mahama is saying. Former President John Mahama has said President Akufo-Addo's inefficient and dishonest administration is the biggest threat to the survival of Ghana's constitutional democracy. In a Facebook post on Monday, that's the 31st of July today, the former president indicated that Ghanaians must avoid repeating the mistakes of the NPP. Transparent and accountability governance, in which opportunities are open to all and not just a few, is the greatest guarantor of our democracy. The almost 7 years of Akufo-Addo and Baumie's maladministration is the biggest threat to the survival of our constitutional democracy. Only a change of this inept NPP government can ensure the sustainability of our democracy. The next NDC administration will work to restore hope to Ghanaians, and quickly. The business as usual approach to governance, lies and propaganda will not work. We cannot and must avoid repeating the mistakes of the NPP. Now the question is, when they are in opposition, they sing a different tune. The moment they come into power, they sing a different tune. What did the president not say when he was in opposition? He said, we got lots of money that is there, we just sitting on it, and we are hungry. We are dead hungry. Now they came in for 7 years plus, and people are so hungry. My goodness, what do you think? It is all coming your way from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now let's move on to other parts of the world to look at some of the other stories, since we've got about another 13 minutes to bring the first part of the program to a close and take you to Cyprus, where HRH Linda Palian is waiting to bring you what you to know when it comes to the Career 101 program this morning. Okay, so now moving on to some of the other stories. Now Wagner pauses recruitment and focuses on Africa. The story says the head of the Wagner mercenary group says it will continue its activities in Africa and Belarus, but that it is not currently recruiting new fighters. The group was deciding on its next objectives, Yevgeny Prigozhin said in an audio message published by a Wagner-linked Telegram account. The Wagner fighters have played a key role during Russia's invasion of Ukraine. In June, several thousands of them took part in a short-lived mutiny against Russia's military leadership. In his audio message, Mr. Prigozhin said most Wagner fighters were currently on leave because before that there was a long period of a very hard work. He said the group was deciding on future tasks which could or would be carried out for the greatness of Russia. Now the group will stay active in Africa and its training centers in Belarus, he added in his message, which was published on the Grey Zone account. Now he did not give further details, although Wagner is known to be active in multiple parts of Africa. Its fighters have also been in Belarus to teach territorial defense forces. Now, while we are not experiencing any deficit in personnel, we do not plan to conduct new recruitment, Mr. Prigozhin said. However, we will be extremely grateful if you keep in touch with us, and soon as the motherland requires a new group that will be able to protect the interests of our country, we will certainly start recruiting. So does that mean that Putin has forgiven Prigozhin? Is that the situation there? It is all coming your way from Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Okay, now let's move on to some other stories, and then we can bring the first part of the program to a close, as I did say. Well, the doomsday scene unfolded in Pakistan after a suicide bomber targeted political rally, killing at least 45 people. An eyewitness has said. Now, people screamed for help as rescuers rushed to the scene in the northwest Bajor district on Sunday. Rally organizer Imran Mahir said the attack targeted the Jamaat Ulema Els Islam Fazil, a party that is part of the government coalition. A person standing next to me died, another was injured, Mr. Mahir said. It was a big sound. I initially thought that there was a problem with the generator or the sound system. My eyes have been ringing, my ears have been ringing and hurting. My head is still hurting. Hundreds had turned up for the rally, which was an opportunity for the Islamic JEF to rally its support ahead of an election expected to take place later this year. Mr. Mahir, who was seated on the stage when the bomb was detonated, described how the explosion unleashed flames and pellets on the crowd that gathered in the town of Kar in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province near Pakistan's border with Afghanistan. I saw the injured and dead around me. It was very bad situation. It was like doomsday. Soon after the blast, there was a panic. It was chaos. People running everywhere. He said, I don't know why I wasn't injured. It was my luck. My time wasn't over yet. There was a man in his 80s far away from the explosion, but he passed. He said, well. A sad occurrence there. But when will all this end? Especially, in a situation where we look at issues like this, and we think that people's attention, what is making people think that what you're doing is not right? Is it that leaders or leadership don't listen to people and they think that this is the way, it is my way or no way? Or it is my way or the highway? And therefore people think that, you know what? You don't want to play ball, that we're also not going to be playing ball with you. We're going to be playing hockey with you. Yeah? With the sticks and everything. But is that the way forward? Well. Starr Radio UK. A couple of stories from here in the UK, and then we can move on. Now, Etsy is destroying sellers by withholding money is one of the stories making the rounds this morning from the UK front. Now, online market Etsy has come under fire from sellers for putting 75% of their takings on hold for 45 days. 100 of small businesses recently got an email from Etsy notifying them it was actioning its reserve system. Now, ceramic seller Rachel Coyler said Etsy was holding $899 of her money, which means she cannot afford to buy materials to keep producing. Now, Etsy said payment reserves were used to keep the marketplace safe and cover any potential refunds. Now, Miss Collier has been selling ceramics on Etsy since 2021. She said she was given only a few hours notice before her money was put on reserve. This is ruining my business. I can't afford to buy any clay or glazes. We might have to move house because I can't pay any bills. This is a sad one. It's another sad one there as well, and a few people who embark on sad issues there as well. But I'll be telling you more about all that in a moment. But wherever you are, stay tuned. Don't you go away. One other story, and then we can bring the program to a close. So as I did say earlier in my introduction, should an election be called today? If you are living in London, and especially looking at the ULS and the fact that they want us all now to embark on getting a hybrid on an electric car. Okay, if not, you'll be paying, come 29th of August, you'll be paying £12.50 in addition to your fuel, in addition to your parking, in addition to congestion if you dare go to the central part of London. So, can you just imagine? Business is how it's going to impact them. Now, if I decide to, okay, say I want to get rid of my car, okay, and fortunately the other car I've got that with all the years was that it's ULS compliant, so I'm somehow safe there, But if it happens that now I need to We need to scrap that car, the scrapping scheme. The scrapping scheme will give you up to a tune of what, 2,000. Okay. Now I got to deposit this money to a car dealer to get an electric car or a hybrid one. Okay. Now when I get that car or a newer car, with the money I've not got. Meanwhile, mortgages are high, interest rates are high, cost of living is high, and everybody seems to be struggling. Do you think it is time for us to introduce or add more insult to the injury that people are facing? And that is why I'm saying that though the courts have ruled last week that, well, the mayor can still go on, that he did an initial consultation and everything. But the fact that people are saying that, look, things are not the same as when you were looking at the whole issue, so wait. And he says that, you know, we're trying to save the lives of them, but some of his own people, what do you call them, the landing TFL has come out to say that, well, the impact of the ULEZ will not be that great. It's a marginal impact that we're going to be having there. So why don't we wait for things to calm down a bit and we say let us all roll out? The other time I was watching a documentary pertaining to electric cars, and I tell you, I was so shocked. I was shocked. You know why? Because if I'm driving an electric car, I cannot drive an electric car from here to Scotland. I need to stop and recharge. Okay. Now let's say I get to Milton Keynes, or maybe it can take me further than that. I get halfway there, and then I needed to now charge my vehicle. There's no point. I mean, people are charging their vehicle. It takes about 4 hours. Then that means I need to stop for what? So how long does it take me to even go about my own daily? Are you catching my drift? So should an election be called today, and Labour, who is in pole position, happen to lose the election in London, and others who are thinking that there's a tendency that they can be rolled over to our places, decide that we don't want to do it, then what we do? But you know what? In a very sensible way, taking advantage of what is happening, the government will issue hundreds of new oil and gas licenses for the North Sea, which Sunak has confirmed. The first will be issued this autumn with at least 100 production licenses in the next round. But issuing production licenses does not mean production will take place in every case. Now we're choosing to power up Britain from Britain, says Sunak. But the SNP warns that while energy security is important, the UK needs to consider the looming climate catastrophe. And Oxfam, Scotland says drilling for more oil and gas in the North Sea is short-sighted and selfish. But we need to take an action. I say it all the time. You need to be alive to be able to fight. So if you cannot sustain yourself to be alive, I mean, that's why it's said that he who fights and run away lives to fight another day. So you fought. Now you think like you need to do something to sustain yourself, and then once we have the strength, that we can now fight properly. But what do you think? Lots more going to be coming your way during the course of the week. But remember, tomorrow morning, once we come back, hey, we're going to be having Olayomi Koiki, and we're going to be looking at the president's speech in Nigeria. On that note, let me say thank you very much for tuning in this morning. Let's enjoy this tune whilst I take you to Cyprus, where we got our own HRH Linda Pallian, who will be bringing you Career 101. But now, enjoy the Zongo Man says the problem of Africa. Is it our leaders? Is it all of us? Should we all be washed or our brains be purged with bleach? As Trump was thinking at the time when there was a COVID, he said, you know, if you inject somebody bleach, maybe it immunizes them from getting COVID. What about that? Well. Enjoy this tune, and I'll be with you. Stay tuned.
The problem of Africa is the lead. Africa. Who run things? The problem of Africa is the lead. Africa. Who run things? Them must go to universities. Universities award them degrees. Big degrees. Degrees MSc in stealing, Bachelor of Arts, Mismanagement,
another degree,
Masters in looting, MSc in corruption, Bachelor of Science, nepotism, MSc in 4 years,
another degree,
Bachelor of Arts in discipline, MSc in embezzlement. The problem of Africa is they lead.
Africa,
Who run things, who run things, who run things. The problem of Africa is they lead.
Africa,
Who run things, who run things, who run things. Some of them.
Okay, something from the Zungu man himself, and he says the problem of Africa. Don't you worry, I'll bring it at the tail end of the program. But now let me quickly bring you Career 101 with HRH Linda Pallian, and today we are talking about how your environment saves your career. That's a good one there. So let's go straight to Cyprus, where we have HRH Linda Pallian. Over to you, Linda. How your environment serves your career. Okay, interesting.
Absolutely. And this again is one of my favorite topics, because it's one of the most underrated factors of success that a lot of people don't take into consideration when you're looking at your next level of your career. So we're going to be talking about this also because I've harped on about this for ages. The how to career steps, it's the fourth step in your career, the acronym career, which is course, authenticity, reasoning, environment, excitement, and remuneration. So your environment is the fourth step
of your career. Okay, wow. So we'll be going into that properly. But listeners, every Monday from 12:45 to 1, we bring you this program that is Career 101, where we have our own HRH Linda Pallian coming your way with Career 101, throwing more light as whether the job that you find yourself in, you are enjoying it, or you wake up in the morning and you the thought of you going back there makes you feel that you are sick, or you just wake up and you think, yeah, let me get on it, or you think, well, I've gotten to this point, but I can still do better. Whatever the situation is, listen to this program and also follow our HRH Linda Pallian. She can be your cheerleader every time, and she will help you on that front. So, how your environment serves your career. Let's move on, lady.
Awesome. So, environment. When we talk about environment in this context, we're talking about three key parts of your environment. The first bit is your physical, geographical location.
Okay.
So the physical setup, your location, the workspace that you have, and the way that your desk and your office is set up, or your working environment is set up. So that's the first bit. The second bit, we talk about the people you surround yourself with, and the personalities, the like-minded or non-like-minded people you surround yourself with. So again, that forms your people environment. And then the third aspect will be the ideologies and the mindset, company culture aspect of environment.
Okay.
Yeah. So as this program is aimed at individuals, I really want to focus on what you can do, because there's aspects of your environment that you might not be able to change as an individual, but let's focus on what you can do. Okay, so when we talk about your geographical aspect, of course, if you're working on Canary Wharf or on Wall Street or in Silicon Valley, for example, being around like-minded people, seeing everybody go to work doing the same thing, having all these networks and socializing with these people is completely going to boost the business image that you have. If this is your own business, it's going to boost your self-worth. You're going to have more of these intelligent conversations and collaborations that way. But also, if you're a business owner by yourself, where you decide to position your business is super important. So we have this analogy of the two stones. So you can sell the same stone in a flea market.
Yeah.
You can sell it in a dollar store, or you can sell it in Selfridges. And depending on where you physically decide to locate yourself, you command a different price point.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's especially important for business owners to decide which market they want to serve and where the physical location is. If you can afford to be at a high-end place, definitely do that, or take the steps to do that, or create the illusion of that, at least. Okay?
Yeah.
So physical environment is really important, and it serves the price, it serves the self-worth and the perceived value for your stakeholders, your clients, the people that can work with you, the people you employ. They see it as a result of where you're physically located. They see the value. So again, if you're working for someone, and this is on the other side, if it's not your own business and you're working for someone, naturally, if you work for a reputable company, a big company, that's going to give you leverage in your career.
Yeah.
When you're going for another job. So for example, if I said I've worked for the Big Four, or I've worked for the biggest hedge fund management, that give me a lot more leverage as a financial advisor than if I said, well, I worked for Joe Blogg's accounting.
Joe Blogs will not be happy with you, you know.
That's the same job, but it's completely different. Okay, so that's your physical environment. So you need to leverage it as much as possible.
Okay.
Let's talk about the people aspect of your environment, surrounding yourself with like-minded people and personalities. Again, this is the second aspect of your environment, which can hinder your progress or stifle it. Okay, if you're surrounding yourself with the complainers and the 9-to-5ers and the people that have already given up on life or any prospect of progression, naturally that's going to take its toll on you. You're going to be as a result of the people who you surround yourself with, or the people that surround themselves with you. Sometimes you can't help this, right? You might be in a toxic work environment.
Wow.
And this is why you need to get out.
Wow.
Not people alone.
Wow. Okay. Let me. A question I just come in, and let me pose that one. It's talking about the physical location of your company or your organization, and one of them is asking the question. It says you normally locate your company or organization at a place where you have the raw materials to do that particular to carry out whatever service or products or produce that you come up with. But if you say that now you have to make sure that you are located in a very nice place, and therefore looking at the scenario where maybe the person is using or farm produce to produce something. Okay, so you use that. Let's take an example of a pineapple, and therefore you use that to produce the juice or whatever thing that you want to produce. So maybe the location is not the right place per se, and it will not be nice, but whatever they are producing finally is something that people will love. So when they talk about the location, they are asking how do they place themselves there? What can they do to improve upon that?
I love this question so much, and God bless whoever asked that question. This is amazing. Okay, so there's this thing in marketing called positioning as well. Even if you're not physically located, you can position yourself properly. So when we talk about a good example, we've spoken about pineapple, but let's use the example like shea butter.
Yeah.
Okay, shea butter is produced normally in Africa. As I know, in Nigeria. Gold is another example. Okay, but shea butter is also sold in the Body Shop in the UK, Joe Malone, and all these products, these high-end products that make use of shea butter.
Yeah.
So They might be marketing, yes, it's produced from Ghana, but the packaging and the positioning, the geographical location of where they're selling it is completely different from the place of origin. Okay?
Yes, I can hear you, yeah.
So I know that I can go to a marketplace and get raw shea butter. And I know that because I do that. I've been to Brixton and bought raw shea butter.
Mm.
And it's also the same product that I will find as the key ingredient in my Chanel
Yeah.
moisturizer.
Yeah.
But why would I pay maybe 50, 70, 90 pounds for a little pot of moisturizer when I could buy the whole damn barrel?
In Brixton Market somewhere.
Where you leverage positioning.
Yeah.
If not physical location, but marketing positioning to do that. So if you're starting your business, and of course, for example, and I mean, this has been disproved, so I hesitate using this example, but we all have seen this image of Amazon in the garage.
Yeah.
Where Jeff Bezos has a banner where he's physically written Amazon.com on there, working in his garage, versus Amazon that it is now. And I mean, you may have seen Amazon warehouses. Their positioning online is completely different to where they're physically located.
Yeah.
For example, you wouldn't see Amazon headquarters in London. You'll probably find them on the outskirts of a cheaper place, but they're everywhere. Leverage the geographical and locational difference to your advantage.
Okay, that's good. All right. Listeners, Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, and it is Career 101 coming your way every week, every Monday from 12:45 onwards. And I have with me my own HRH, Linda Palian. She can be your cheerleader if you want her to. So continue to listen to the program. At the tail end of the program, we put in the contact details across for you to know how to get in touch and how to enjoy everything that she's got for you. Yes, Linda, over to you.
Okay, so the third aspect of your environment is your internal environment. Okay, your mindset, the ideologies you allow yourself to embody. Okay, so I always say stand guard at the door of your mind. I think that's a quote from Jim Varone or someone else that I like. But it's really important to embody the habits and the systems that will give you that mindset, because sometimes the people that are bringing you down, or the people that in your environment may not necessarily be supportive. So you might have a spouse, or your immediate working environment isn't supportive, or you may have grown up in an environment where crime is the norm, or doing one sort of thing is the norm. Now we can leverage the internet, we can leverage books, we can leverage YouTube influencers to choose our own role models and have those same desired traits that we need as to the goals that we want to achieve. So having the right mindset is important in optimizing your environment. Okay? And when it comes to companies, it's the same thing. You might find a company that says, oh, well, our culture, and a company culture is the personality of the company. That's the environment that exists. There's some companies say one thing, and it's not necessarily the same thing, the same.
Yeah.
And a lot of employees will say this. They say that customer service is up front, but yet allowed to refund the customer even if we know we're in the wrong.
Yeah. I think the other time, myself and Frank, we were having an encounter with one supplier. I wouldn't want to mention their name, and then one of the guys who came was saying like, well, you know, our company, when it comes to their customer service, forget it. I mean, we have all those things. They're big, massive companies, so we are rubbish when it comes to that. And I said, really? But well, under the circumstances you can't do otherwise. They are the ones who can supply you with whatever you want. Therefore, we have to just keep on keeping on with them.
Right, but you can imagine how conflicted anybody would be if you're saying the company culture is customer service.
Yeah.
Yet really stifling that customer relationship. And as you said, you don't have a choice. But should you have a choice?
Oh, definitely. You would have changed it. Yeah.
Employers and business owners, and when I talk about business owners, employers don't, entrepreneurs don't think it's about them, but it's about you too. Even if you're just one person in your business, it's saying my company values is authenticity, and you're putting out things that aren't authentic, and then you're found to be fake. You've just ruined your whole business, ruined the whole brand with not being congruent to that environment that you're creating. So when we come to company culture, you have to make sure that you as the company embody those values, and you're allowing your employees to embody those same values, so that your customers and your stakeholders have the same consistent experience throughout, whether they're dealing with you as a leader or whether they're dealing with you as or a representative of your company. So the values are going to really constitute the environment that you spend your time in, who you're listening to, who you're talking to, what books you're reading, even the kind of music you're listening to and watching. That's your internal environment.
Okay. I was going to ask you that question. How can you enhance your ideology or your internal environment? But it looks like you've touched on it briefly there. But if somebody is listening to us and thinks, okay, well, maybe our ideology as a company is not something that we are living up to. Now, what would you tell them to do?
Jerome says, move, you're not a tree.
Okay, and when to, this one you have to fly. Okay.
Serve you. First of course, try and do something about it. So and a lot of these things might be just having a conversation, because most people aren't aware that they're conflicting, they're sending conflicting messages.
Okay.
They might focus on the bottom line. Therefore, they put in policies that directly conflict the company values.
Yeah.
Who is in the company and can see it from your perspective to say, actually, what we're doing doesn't serve this company values. Can we change it or revise this and create a win-win situation? But you as an individual as well, your mindset and your ideologies, who you're deciding to listen to, that would really influence your perception of things. So sometimes people come to me and they say, I want to get into this particular field, and I've heard that it's super difficult to get into this field. Now that's the mindset they embody. They don't even know that that's the mindset they embody, because to them they believe it as truth.
Yeah.
So, and I find this in most fields, funny enough, in the music industry, in the accounting industry, in the law profession.
Yeah.
And on who you listen to or where those influences have come from, you think it's super difficult to get into that field. Therefore, everything works to prove you right. Whereas I know other people that will come in and say, oh, it's super easy, I can get it. The reason, a great example is TED Talks. And for the influencers that are listening amongst us, a lot of people want to do TED Talks and speeches and be on big stages. Right? Now I know someone who is relatively new in their field. They teach relatively basic stuff as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so this is my interpretation of what they do.
Yeah.
This woman is so bold and so fearless in trying to get her message across that she's ended up on the biggest stages talking about the basic things.
Wow. Wow.
Know too much about. But because she believes that it's easy to get into these fields, it's easy to get paid to do a speaking engagement, it's easy to go into a company and teach them about this stuff.
Okay.
To do that. Because that's her mindset and the ideology that she has.
Interesting. I know our time is fast spent, but what I thought just came to mind that having orientation courses for employees can also help that way, or because at times if the vision or the ideology is not actually clear, then those who are supposed to see to the implementation will not do a good job, and it end up you saying one thing and you doing something else. What do you think about that?
Absolutely, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, you have to be able to communicate these values to your employees, and especially these people that are going to implement it. Okay, so if you're having a one-to-one and you're saying, and I know that this happens, especially in the big banks, because I have a lot of clients, the big banks in the UK, that struggle with this.
Okay.
So then KPIs will be sell more of these financial products. So they have this at the back of their mind, they need to sell more of these financial products. However, you're supposed to do right by the customer as well. But you know that if you don't sell more of these financial products,
So
then they sit in this conflicting role. So you need to be able to communicate, and for every key performance indicator or target, that's what we get. For every target you set, you need to be able to relate that back to the values that you want the employees to embody. And as you're saying with the orientation, that stops this conflict. Because if they can see why they're doing this and how it relates to the values, they're more likely to be behind it.
Okay. Wow, listeners, these are just tidbits of what HRH Linda Palian can deliver to you. You want to know more, you're going to be listening to her. She's going to be giving you her contact details and how you can get in touch with her, and then she will help you on that front. So Linda, over to you.
Absolutely. So thanks for listening today. If you want to know more about environment and how you can get to the next level of your career, you can contact me at mycheerlinda on all social media platforms. I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. My new book is coming out in September, and it talks about all of these aspects. I highly recommend it. Even though I do say so myself, it's a self-empowerment tool for you to be able to take it fairly low cost and be able to revolutionize your career and lead your career. And I think that's the most powerful tool that I can contribute to the world in my profession.
Wow.
So I highly recommend it. At mycheerlinda, mycheerlinda.com, social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, get in touch, and we'll be able to work on your career together.
Thank you very much, my HRH. Yes, she can be your HRH and your cheerleader as well. So make sure you get in touch with her on all the contact details that she's put across. Linda, let me say thank you once again for coming in, and you have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too. Have a beautiful day. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Okay. Well. So that has been HRH Linda Palian bringing you Career 101, and today we had the privilege of learning about how your environment serves your career. So I hope that you enjoyed it. Now, if you have any questions, as she did put her contact details across, just get in touch with her and she will help you on that front. Well, so this is where I have to bring the program to a close, but after this breaking news that have come through, now teachers in England and National Education Union, the NEU, have accepted the government's pay offer, meaning no strike action in the autumn term. The NEU, the UK's largest teaching union, said 86% of its members had voted to accept the 6.5% pay rise. Now, both sides in the dispute said the pay offer was properly funded and will not come from existing school budget. The ASCL union accepted the offer in July. Two other unions have not yet announced their decision. So NEU teachers have taken a total of 8 days of strike action in England since February. Now 7 national and 1 regional, forcing many schools to close. Well, so that is the breaking news that has come your way today. And on that note, let me say thank you very much for tuning in today to listen or watch us on Starr Radio UK. Tomorrow morning, God willing, we're going to be back. And as I did say, Tinubu is going to give in a presidential address. What is the address in? Is it an NLC or the subsidy removal or the security unrest or what is happening in the southeast or Chief Sunday? Well, which one? Pick your choice. Okay, we'll be looking at all that in a moment. But then, let me say thank you very, very much for tuning in today to join us. But let's take this tune, and then when that song ends, you know, hear from me. It's been me, Archie, saying have a top of the day. And this one is from the Zongo man himself, and he says, "The Problem of Africa." Bye-bye for now.
The problem of Africa is the lead. Africa. Who run things, who run things, who run things. The problem of Africa is the lead.
Thanks for listening.
Who run things, who run things. Them all go to universities. Universities award them degrees. Big degrees. 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 Big degrees. MSc in stealing. Bachelor of Arts, Mismanagement. Another degree. Masters in looting. MSc in corruption, Bachelor of Science, nepotism, MSc in 4 years, another degree, Bachelor of Arts in discipline, MSc in embezzlement. The problem of Africa is the lead. Africa. Who run things, who run things, who run things. The problem of Africa is the lead. Africa. Who run things, who run things, who run things. Some of them went to London School of Food.